Chapter 392, Rank 6 Cultivation Country. Even if Xianxia had asked me personally, if I didn't want to, all I would have done was kick Lu Mei out and not have given you the other two gifts. The mysterious light in Du Tian's eyes became even stronger. Whether you are Xianxia Yu or Wang Lin, it doesn't matter. Ever since my soul-refining sect came to planet Suzaku, we've had a total of 36 soul transformation ancestors. Their souls are all inside the soul flag. I am the 37th, and my senior apprentice brother was the 36th. Wang Lin's expression changed. He raised his head and looked at the two blood rings. Du Tian slowly said, "Little friend, there is no need to look. My senior apprentice brother died 2 years ago when his lifespan ran out. Not even the current Suzaku knows of this." Wang Lin silently pondered. The mysterious light in Du Tian's eyes became even stronger as he looked at Wang Lin and said, "Word for word, little friend, I have a question for you. Are you willing to enter my soul-refining sect, become the next successor, and swear upon your domain that you will help my soul-refining sect become a rank 6 cultivation country one day?" Wang Lin didn't immediately reply but asked, "Why me?" Xianxia is only part of the reason. The main reason, however, is because of my senior apprentice brother. Little friend Xianxia Yu, my senior apprentice brother's domain didn't have any offensive capability, but he was the only one who had it on the entire planet. Even on other planets, it is extremely rare. Du Tian revealed a look of respect. This domain is foresight. He originally had 100 years of lifespan left, but he used it all up to activate his domain to find a path to survival for my soul-refining sect, but in the end, he still failed. Wang Lin frowned and waited for him to finish. If the old man had said something about his senior apprentice brother predicting that Wang Lin was their hope, he wouldn't listen to any more of this nonsense. Du Tian stared at Wang Lin with a hint of insanity. Although my senior apprentice brother died, the moment he died was also the moment you arrived at my sect. Wang Lin was stunned. This might be a coincidence. This could just be this old man being stubborn. But my lifespan is reaching its limit, so I can wait no longer. I am willing to take this bet that it was my senior apprentice brother's domain that brought you here. Du Tian let out a bitter smile. He knew that this was mostly just him fooling himself. The soul-refining sect has no one to succeed me. Although I can battle the current Suzaku with the soul flag right now, once I die, the soul-refining sect is finished. The soul flag will be taken away by the Suzaku, and without it, the soul-refining sect will die. Wang Lin pondered a bit. He raised his head and said, "If I agree, you will give me the soul flag." Du Tian nodded and said, "I'll give you the soul flag when my lifespan reaches its end." Rank 6 cultivation country. Wang Lin shook his head with a bitter smile. With junior S cultivation, this is too difficult. Du Tian let out a sigh and said, "Xianxia, I only have 10 years left to live. Within these 10 years, I can ensure your safety, but after that, you're on your own. Whether you succeed or not doesn't matter, but remember my words. Remember that the soul-refining sect meant you no harm and gifted you the soul flag. That will be enough." Wang Lin pondered. After a long time, he nodded and said, "I'll do my best." Du Tian's eyes lit up. He looked at Wang Lin and laughed. Then he slapped his bag of holding and threw a golden jade toward Wang Lin. "My soul-refining sect doesn't have any fancy etiquette. This jade contains the soul sealing manual, which is used to control the 1 billion soul flag. This is the core of the soul-refining sect. From today onward, you are the only core disciple of the soul-refining sect." Wang Lin took the jade and scanned it before putting it into his bag. "Now that this is over, I need to go into closed-door cultivation to prepare my soul to be added to the soul flag. It is better for you not to leave the soul-refining sect, because if you meet danger, I will not be able to help you." Wang Lin faintly smiled. "No problem. If I couldn't protect myself, I wouldn't be alive right now. Senior doesn't have to worry. I have some personal matters I need to take care of. I'll be sure to come back before Senior comes out of his closed-door cultivation." Du Tian looked at Wang Lin. After pondering for a bit, he nodded and said, "Since you are sure, I won't say any more. You can go." With that, he disappeared into the blood ring. Wang Lin respectfully clasped his hands. Then he disappeared and left the soul-refining sect. Wang Lin's speed was like a meteor in the night. His hair flowed with the wind and his eyes shined like the stars. He didn't believe everything Du Tian had told him. After all, Wang Lin wasn't someone new to the cultivation world. He had been through too much and seen too many things. However, now was not the time to ponder this matter. When the day comes for Du Tian to give him the soul flag, everything will be revealed. Li Yuanfeng. Killing intent filled his eyes and he flew even faster. The attempt on his life 2 years ago nearly killed him and made him lose his cultivation. Now that his cultivation had recovered, the first thing he was going to do was kill this Li Yuanfeng. He was raised to the soul transformation stage by force and can be considered the weakest among soul transformation cultivators. My original body has become a 3-star ancient god. If I fuse with my original body, I can fight him. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his figure disappeared into the night. 1 month later, in the valley inside Chu, Zhou Ru was playing with Little White, the Thunder Toad was basking in the sun, and Tai Yan was cultivating. He was very close to the soul formation stage and was about to comprehend his own domain. The Thunder Toad suddenly opened its eyes. Its large eyes looked toward the outside of the valley. A white-robed young man walked into the valley with a smile. The ascendant-level domain from the pagoda had no effect on him. Zhou Ru rubbed her eyes and immediately let out a cry of joy. She jumped off Little White and shouted with joy, "Uncle! Uncle!" Wang Lin laughed, hugged little Zhou Ru, and then looked toward Tai Yan. Tai Yan stood up and respectfully said, "Greetings, benefactor." Wang Lin said, "Tai Yan, you are close to reaching the soul formation stage. Go to Chu's capital and live there to experience life. You will definitely reach the soul formation stage in 3 years." There was no joy or sadness on his face, but his hands started trembling and he said, "Really? Okay." He looked at Zhou Ru and then around him, then he clenched his teeth and disappeared. Zhou Ru hugged Wang Lin and quickly asked, "Uncle, where is my big tiger?" "Where's the big tiger that you promised me when you left?" Little White had been listening and became excited. He thought, looks like this Tiger Lord's bitter life has come to an end. If that little devil gets a new pet, she should let me go. Thinking about the good life to come and the few female tigers he hadn't seen in a long time, Little White couldn't help but become excited. Big Tiger Wang Lin rubbed his nose. He had indeed forgotten about this. After all, he had experienced too much in this trip. Zhou Ru pouted and said, "Uncle, when you left, you said you wouldn't forget." After Little White heard this, his vision turned black, as all his hopes and dreams disappeared. He secretly sighed and wondered why his life was so torturous. Wang Lin wryly smiled and rubbed Zhou Ru's head. "Listen, Uncle is here to take you somewhere. I'll just catch you a big tiger later." Zhou Ru was only a kid, so after hearing this, she immediately became happy and asked, "Where are we going?" "Uncle, are you taking me somewhere to play?" "Uncle is going to find a friend." A hint of killing intent appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. Little White's heart trembled and his hopes raised again, this time even more so than last time. He thought that if the two of them leave, he will be free once more. While thinking about this, he became excited again. Wang Lin said, "Little Ru, go inside the pagoda. This trip will be very long. Being inside the pagoda will ensure your safety. Be good now." Zhou Ru quickly nodded and revealed an excited look. The moment she heard she could leave, she became very happy. "Little White, come with me." Little White let out a growl filled with sadness, as all of his expectations were shattered again. He looked reluctantly at the mountain as if there were a few female tigers still waiting for him. Finally, with Zhou Ru patting and hitting him, he followed her into the pagoda. Wang Lin's right hand formed a seal. The pagoda quickly shrank and he carefully put it away. After finishing all of this, Wang Lin took a deep breath and then he took a step forward. A powerful energy came from under the ground, and at the same time the original body opened his eyes. After 1 moment, he was already up on the surface. On his forehead were 3 purple stars that spun and released a demonic light. When the original body appeared before him, both walked toward each other, and then the two fused into one person. This was the real Wang Lin. The original body was on the outside and the avatar's cultivation was on the inside. An oppressive aura exuded from within his body. At this moment, the sky changed colors. Lightning echoed through the sky and large drops of rain began to fall. Wang Lin in the rain was like a demon god as he looked towards Yu. Shui Yu's Li Yuanfeng, the giant demon clan's ancestor, and Sun Tai who used that chance to seal me. Now that I have recovered my cultivation, I will come collect my debts with each one of you. The first person on the list is Li Yuanfeng. Let's see if the soul transformation cultivation you obtained by force is stronger than my original body fused with my avatar. Reading so much. Besides the golden keyboard is active, I ask everyone to support a bit more, not just words of support. I'm afraid I can't even carry the last 3. Even if Xianxia had asked me personally, if I didn't want to, all I would have done was kick Lu Mei out and not have given you the other 2 gifts. The mysterious light in Du Tian's eyes became even stronger. Whether you are Xianxia Yu or Wang Lin, it doesn't matter. Ever since my soul refining sect came to planet Suzaku, we've had a total of 36 soul transformation ancestors. Their souls are all inside the soul flag. I am the 37th, and my senior apprentice brother was the 36th. Wang Lin's expression changed. He raised his head and looked at the 2 blood rings. Du Tian slowly said, "Little friend, there is no need to look. My senior apprentice brother died 2 years ago when his lifespan ran out. Not even the current Suzaku knows of this." Wang Lin silently pondered. The mysterious light in Du Tian's eyes became even stronger as he looked at Wang Lin and said, "Word for word, little friend, I have a question for you. Are you willing to enter my soul-refining sect, become the next successor, and swear upon your domain that you will help my soul-refining sect become a rank 6 cultivation country one day?" Wang Lin didn't immediately reply but asked, "Why me?" Xianxia is only part of the reason. The main reason, however, is because of my senior apprentice brother. Little friend Xianxia Yu, my senior apprentice brother's domain didn't have any offensive capability, but he was the only one who had it on the entire planet. Even on other planets, it is extremely rare. Du Tian revealed a look of respect. This domain is foresight. He originally had 100 years of lifespan left, but he used it all up to activate his domain to find a path to survival for my soul-refining sect, but in the end, he still failed. Wang Lin frowned and waited for him to finish. If the old man had said something about his senior apprentice brother predicting that Wang Lin was their hope, he wouldn't listen to any more of this nonsense. Du Tian stared at Wang Lin with a hint of insanity. Although my senior apprentice brother died, the moment he died was also the moment you arrived at my sect. Wang Lin was stunned. This might be a coincidence. This could just be this old man being stubborn. But my lifespan is reaching its limit, so I can wait no longer. I am willing to take this bet that it was my senior apprentice brother's domain that brought you here. Du Tian let out a bitter smile. He knew that this was mostly just him fooling himself. The soul refining sect has no one to succeed me. Although I can battle the current Suzaku with the soul flag right now, once I die. The soul refining sect is finished, the soul flag will be taken away by the Suzaku, and without it, the soul refining sect will die. Wang Lin pondered a bit. He raised his head and said, "If I agree, you will give me the soul flag." Du Tian nodded and said, "I'll give you the soul flag when my lifespan reaches its end." Rank 6 cultivation country. Wang Lin shook his head with a bitter smile. With junior S cultivation, this is too difficult. Du Tian let out a sigh and said, "Xianxia, I only have 10 years left to live. Within these 10 years, I can ensure your safety, but after that, you're on your own. Whether you succeed or not doesn't matter, but remember my words. Remember that the soul refining sect meant you no harm and gifted you the soul flag. That will be enough." Wang Lin pondered. After a long time, he nodded and said, "I'll do my best." Du Tian's eyes lit up. He looked at Wang Lin and laughed. Then he slapped his bag of holding and threw a golden jade toward Wang Lin. "My soul refining sect doesn't have any fancy etiquette. This jade contains the soul sealing manual which is used to control the 1 billion soul flag. This is the core of the soul refining sect. From today onward, you are the only core disciple of the soul refining sect." Wang Lin took the jade and scanned it before putting it into his bag. "Now that this is over, I need to go into closed-door cultivation to prepare my soul to be added to the soul flag. It is better for you not to leave the soul refining sect, because if you meet danger, I will not be able to help you." Wang Lin faintly smiled. "No problem. If I couldn't protect myself, I wouldn't be alive right now. Senior doesn't have to worry. I have some personal matters I need to take care of. I'll be sure to come back before Senior comes out of his closed-door cultivation." Du Tian looked at Wang Lin. After pondering for a bit, he nodded and said, "Since you are sure, I won't say any more. You can go." With that, he disappeared into the blood ring. Wang Lin respectfully clasped his hands, then he disappeared and left the soul refining sect. Wang Lin's speed was like a meteor in the night. His hair flowed with the wind and his eyes shined like the stars. He didn't believe everything Du Tian had told him. After all, Wang Lin wasn't someone new to the cultivation world. He had been through too much and seen too many things. However, now was not the time to ponder this matter. When the day comes for Du Tian to give him the soul flag, everything will be revealed. Li Yuanfeng. Killing intent filled his eyes and he flew even faster. The attempt on his life 2 years ago nearly killed him and made him lose his cultivation. Now that his cultivation had recovered, the first thing he was going to do was kill this Li Yuanfeng. He was raised to the soul transformation stage by force and can be considered the weakest among soul transformation cultivators. My original body has become a 3-star ancient god. If I fuse with my original body, I can fight him. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his figure disappeared into the night. 1 month later, in the valley inside Chu, Zhou Ru was playing with Little White, the Thunder Toad was basking in the sun, and Tai Yan was cultivating. He was very close to the soul formation stage and was about to comprehend his own domain. The Thunder Toad suddenly opened its eyes. Its large eyes looked toward the outside of the valley. A white-robed young man walked into the valley with a smile. The ascendant-level domain from the pagoda had no effect on him. Zhou Ru rubbed her eyes and immediately let out a cry of joy. She jumped off Little White and shouted with joy, "Uncle! Uncle!" Wang Lin laughed, hugged little Zhou Ru, and then looked toward Tai Yan. Tai Yan stood up and respectfully said, "Greetings, benefactor." Wang Lin said, "Tai Yan, you are close to reaching the soul formation stage. Go to Chu's capital and live there to experience life. You will definitely reach the soul formation stage in 3 years." There was no joy or sadness on his face, but his hands started trembling and he said, "Really? Okay." He looked at Zhou Ru and then around him, then he clenched his teeth and disappeared. Zhou Ru hugged Wang Lin and quickly asked, "Uncle, where is my big tiger?" "Where's the big tiger that you promised me when you left?" Little White had been listening and became excited. He thought, looks like this Tiger Lord's bitter life has come to an end. If that little devil gets a new pet, she should let me go. Thinking about the good life to come and the few female tigers he hadn't seen in a long time, Little White couldn't help but become excited. Big Tiger Wang Lin rubbed his nose. He had indeed forgotten about this. After all, he had experienced too much in this trip. Zhou Ru pouted and said, "Uncle, when you left, you said you wouldn't forget." After Little White heard this, his vision turned black, as all his hopes and dreams disappeared. He secretly sighed and wondered why his life was so torturous. Wang Lin wryly smiled and rubbed Zhou Ru's head. "Listen, Uncle is here to take you somewhere. I'll just catch you a big tiger later." Zhou Ru was only a kid, so after hearing this, she immediately became happy and asked, "Where are we going?" "Uncle, are you taking me somewhere to play?" "Uncle is going to find a friend." A hint of killing intent appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. Little White's heart trembled and his hopes raised again, this time even more so than last time. He thought that if the two of them leave, he will be free once more. While thinking about this, he became excited again. Wang Lin said, "Little Ru, go inside the pagoda. This trip will be very long. Being inside the pagoda will ensure your safety. Be good now." Zhou Ru quickly nodded and revealed an excited look. The moment she heard she could leave, she became very happy. "Little White, come with me." Little White let out a growl filled with sadness, as all of his expectations were shattered again. He looked reluctantly at the mountain as if there were a few female tigers still waiting for him. Finally, with Zhou Ru patting and hitting him, he followed her into the pagoda. Wang Lin's right hand formed a seal. The pagoda quickly shrank and he carefully put it away. After finishing all of this, Wang Lin took a deep breath and then he took a step forward. A powerful energy came from under the ground, and at the same time the original body opened his eyes. After 1 moment, he was already up on the surface. On his forehead were 3 purple stars that spun and released a demonic light. When the original body appeared before him, both walked toward each other, and then the two fused into one person. This was the real Wang Lin. The original body was on the outside and the avatar's cultivation was on the inside. An oppressive aura exuded from within his body. At this moment, the sky changed colors. Lightning echoed through the sky and large drops of rain began to fall. Wang Lin in the rain was like a demon god as he looked towards Yueyu. Shui Yue's Li Yuanfeng, the giant demon clan's ancestor, and Sun Tai, who used that chance to seal me. Now that I have recovered my cultivation, I will come collect my debts with each one of you. The first person on the list is Li Yuanfeng. Let's see if the soul transformation cultivation you obtained by force is stronger than my original body fused with my avatar. Fans celebrating the new year, please join the VIDEO fan battle team. If you need to complete a mission, Leo can praise everyone in the chapter narration. Chapter 393, The Power of One Word. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. He pointed at this brow, and the heaven-defying bead appeared. His eyes lit up, and he slapped his bag of holding, causing a piece of crystal to appear. This was the wood spirit Wang Lin stole before the elder of the country of Suzaku after his battle with Red Butterfly. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. The heaven-defying bead is only missing metal and half of the wood element. According to what Situnan said, once the 5 elements are complete, it will be able to recognize an owner. That day will soon arrive. Wang Lin moved the wood element crystal toward the bead. The moment the two touched, the wood crystal disappeared into the heaven-defying bead. The leaves on the heaven-defying bead began to move and open one by one until finally it reached completion. Now I am only missing the metal element. Wang Lin's eyes sparkled as he looked toward Shui Yu. The metal element can wait. Li Yuanfeng, I am coming. He put away the heaven-defying bead, landed on the Thunder Toad and laughed. Old friend, let us go. The Thunder Toad let out a happy roar and kicked the ground, causing it to shatter. The Thunder Toad shot into the sky like a meteor. Wang Lin let out a laugh and slapped his bag of holding. The mosquito appeared and let out a roar. Then its sharp mouth stabbed toward the Thunder Toad. The Thunder Toad rolled its eyes. Its tongue shot out like lightning and started to play with the mosquito. Wang Lin sat on the back of the Thunder Toad and smiled as he looked at the two beasts play. He then turned toward Shui Yu. Although his smile was still there, it now contained a hint of coldness. Shui Yu. The once green land of the Four-Sect Alliance was now completely white. It had turned into a snowfield. The sun reflected off the snow, causing a powerful glare. If one looked at it for too long, their eyes would tear up from the pain, or they might even lose their eyesight. The mortals living in Shui Yu had their own ways of protecting their eyes. After Shui Yu Wei became a rank 5 cultivation country, the mortal world naturally became more prosperous. At the center of Shui Yu Wei was an ice palace. This was the most sacred place in Shui Yu. It was where the only soul transformation cultivator of Shui Yu Wei, Li Yuanfeng, cultivated all year round. After being injured by Sun Tai's lightning, he had been recovering slowly. He did after all reach the soul transformation stage by force. It was already very lucky that he didn't lose his life. There were several large blocks of ice around him, each one emitting celestial spiritual energy. Using this method to heal was still not enough for Li Yuanfeng. In these past 2 years, he had been sending people to Mount Suzaku to get some celestial jade from Red Butterfly, but they were stopped outside every time. Li Yuanfeng was very puzzled. As time passed, he became suspicious and couldn't help but resent Red Butterfly. After all, he was injured from trying to kill Sing Niu, which was all for Red Butterfly. He had spent these 2 years trying to heal his injuries. Based on his calculations, he would need another year to completely recover. On this day, at the edge of Shui Yu, a white figure slowly entered the country. He looked toward Shui Yu with a reminiscent look. Four-Sect Alliance Wang Lin let out a sigh and disappeared into the distance. The capital of Shui Yu was where the capital of the Four-Sect Alliance once was. There was a street in this city containing decades of Wang Lin's memories. On this day, on this street, Wang Lin appeared. As he looked at the familiar street, he couldn't help but think of Dan Yu's family. After a very long time, his eyes were filled with melancholy as he left. Inside the snow and ice palace, Li Yuanfeng was cultivating when he suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes lit up as he raised his head and looked toward outside the palace. Li Yuanfeng! In the square outside the palace, the roaring wind caused the snow to fly through the air. An illusionary figure slowly walked through the snow. It gradually became more solid, and when it was 10 steps from the palace gates, the figure revealed itself as Wang Lin. The current Wang Lin had a cold expression as he looked at the shocked Li Yuanfeng. Li Yuanfeng's pupils shrank as he stared at Wang Lin. After a while, he gloomily said, "Sung Yu." Although his expression remained calm, his heart was shocked. He couldn't imagine how Sang Nu was not only able to recover from the injuries his domain had caused in just 2 years, but he even increased his cultivation level from the mid-stage of soul formation to the late stage. 2 years of time was nothing to cultivators. To be able to do this much in just 2 years, it was no wonder Li Yuanfeng was shocked. Just at this moment, 3 people appeared between Li Yuanfeng and Wang Lin. All of them were very old. There were 2 men and 1 woman. One of the elders shouted, "You've got guts to invade my Shui Yue's ice and snow palace." Sang Nu! The old woman's eyes became cold as she stared at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was cold as he took a step forward. With a bang, countless cracks appeared where Wang Lin had stepped and quickly spread across the palace. Wang Lin whispered, "Break!" The entire palace began to rumble and then half of the palace collapsed. The 3 elders' expressions changed greatly as a powerful force pushed them away. One of the old men looked at Wang Lin with an expression of disbelief and shouted, "Could you have reached the soul transformation stage?" Wang Lin didn't even look at the 3 of them. His gaze had always been on Li Yuanfeng. At this moment, he moved toward Li Yuanfeng like lightning. The 3 elders immediately shouted and immediately appeared before Wang Lin in an attempt to block him. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. He appeared before one of the elders and threw a punch at his chest. Bang! The elder's chest caved in, and he coughed out blood. His body was sent flying. He was completely dead. Even his origin soul didn't have time to escape. It had shattered from the force of the punch. This was the power of his original body and avatar fused together. A mid-stage soul formation cultivator would die in 1 punch. The remaining 2 immediately froze in terror. Wang Lin didn't even look at the remaining 2 as he walked once more toward Li Yuanfeng. Li Yuanfeng's expression was dark as his hand formed seals and pointed at the 8 giant blocks of ice. The blocks immediately moved to protect him. Wang Lin snorted and threw a punch at the ice blocks. Bang! Bang! A series of heaven-shattering explosions echoed through Shuiyu. The ice blocks before Li Yuanfeng became filled with cracks before shattering into tiny pieces. The powerful shockwave caused the rest of the palace to collapse as well. Li Yuanfeng's figure charged out as the ice blocks shattered. Floated in the air, his hair moved without any wind as he said, "Sang Nu, today you will die for sure." Wang Lin raised his head. He looked at Li Yuanfeng and slowly said, "Today I'm going to take your soul and refine it." Li Yuanfeng's hand formed a seal, and then a giant T-mark suddenly appeared before him. He pushed the T-mark forward, and it began to descend upon Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with battle intent. He quickly raised his fist and collided with the T-mark. Bang! The T-mark descending from the sky immediately collapsed, and the shock wave forced Li Yuanfeng to back up 100 feet. Li Yuanfeng's eyes were filled with shock, but even more so with fear. Wang Lin backed up 3 steps. Each step caused countless cracks to appear on the ground. The battle between the 2 had caught the attention of everyone in Shuiyu. Aside from the old man who had died and the 2 others, the remaining 17 soul formation cultivators were frantically teleporting toward the palace. To them, Li Yuanfeng was the sect master of the entire country. As long as he lived, they were a rank cultivation country. If he were to die, they wouldn't be able to produce another soul transformation cultivator anytime soon, meaning the only fate left was for their country's rank to drop. In almost the blink of an eye, the soul formation cultivators arrived. Without any hesitation, they took out their treasures and were about to attack. Wang Lin's eyes were calm. He only said 1 word, "Scram!" It was just 1 word. At first it was soft, but in the blink of an eye it echoed in the sky as if it were the heaven's wrath. Scram! 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 This was the sound of the heavens shattering, and it rumbled in the sky. This was the voice of an ancient god, the anger of an ancient god, and Wang Lin's first roar as an ancient god at full power. The clouds in the sky disappeared without a trace and cracks began to appear in the sky like spatial rifts. The earth began to shake and split open like a piece of paper being torn apart. The heavens shattered, and the earth cracked. Those soul formation cultivators who were about to attack all coughed out blood and were forced back. Their eyes were filled with fear and they no longer dared to attack. The power of 1 word! Wang Lin took a deep breath. The fusion of his original body and the avatar caused a strange mutation that had never happened before. The current him could be considered a 3-star ancient god with late-stage soul formation cultivation who controlled the life and death domain. Or he could be considered a late-stage soul formation cultivator who controlled the life and death domain and had the body of a 3-star ancient god. Li Yuanfeng's expression was extremely ugly. He stared at Wang Lin and for the first time considered Wang Lin his enemy. The power of Wang Lin's word earlier wasn't any weaker than a soul transformation cultivator. It's time to double the likes for the video, wishing for more likes for the video. Chapter 394, The Weakest Soul Transformation and the Real Wang Lin. Li Yuanfeng took a deep breath and slowly said, Sang Nu, don't drag others into our fight. All of you leave. Stay 5,000 kilometers away. No one is allowed to come closer. The soul formation cultivators of Shuayu all backed up. Their arrival was fierce, but they had to leave like this. The stark difference caused many of them to feel bitterness in their hearts and deep fear toward Wang Lin. Just the power of one word was enough to match a soul transformation cultivator. Wang Lin took one step forward and jumped toward Li Yuanfeng with a punch. The punch hadn't even arrived, but the sonic booms could be heard. Li Yuanfeng, let us settle the matter from 2 years ago. As Wang Lin shouted, he suddenly arrived before Li Yuanfeng and his punch landed. Li Yuanfeng's expression was gloomy as he quickly backed up. His right hand slapped his bag of holding and a small black drum appeared. As soon as it came out, the drum began to let out a beat. This song was very strange. It didn't sound like a drum beating, but instead like a heart beating. As the sound echoed, Wang Lin felt his heartbeat being affected by the sound. His expression remained calm as he finished the punch. Li Yuanfeng's expression changed. The beating of the drum became even louder and faster. Wang Lin let out a roar. The mysterious power affecting his heartbeat immediately shattered, and his fist landed on the small drum. Bang! Li Yuanfeng backed up once more. The small drum turned to dust and disappeared. Wang Lin's expression was cold as he closed in once more. As Wang Lin closed in, he coldly said, Li Yuanfeng, is this the power of a soul transformation cultivator? Li Yuanfeng looked at Wang Lin as he backed up and let out a roar. Both of his hands formed a seal and pressed it on his chest. He suddenly spat out a ray of golden light. The golden light quickly turned into a 1,000-foot-tall ice giant, and then Li Yuanfeng disappeared into the ice giant. The ice giant let out a roar that quickly spread everywhere. Wang Lin's eyes became serious. This ice giant looked almost exactly the same as the one red butterfly used, but smaller. It took a step forward as it roared and charged toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious light. The body of the ancient god had only lost to the heaven's messenger. He let out a laugh as he charged toward the ice giant. Bang, bang, bang! A series of collisions occurred between Wang Lin's fists and the ice giant. The ground shattered as the two continued their battle, and the cracks in the sky increased until it looked like it was about to fall down. Wang Lin's eyes became even colder with every punch. A 3-star ancient god already possessed unimaginable strength, so he didn't even feel any pain. Each punch only made his hands feel a bit itchy. Every punch would cause small cracks to appear on the ice giant, and after every punch, it would let out an angry roar as it took a step back. Li Yuanfeng, today you will die! Wang Lin threw a punch. Bang! Li Yuanfeng backed up once more. Even more cracks appeared on the ice giant. Break! Wang Lin let out a roar, and then he suddenly charged out and slammed into the chest of the ice giant. A series of cracking sounds came from the ice giant. Pieces of ice fell until its entire body collapsed. Li Yuanfeng coughed out a mouthful of blood as he flew out. His eyes were bloodshot as he shouted, Sang Ni Yu, if it wasn't for the fact that my injuries haven't healed yet. How could I let you humiliate me so? Forget it. I'll risk my cultivation level dropping to kill you today. Aside from their domains, soul transformation cultivators can also use celestial spiritual energy. Li Yuanfeng's eyes were gloomy. His hands formed seals, and then a mysterious power surrounded him as tea leaves appeared around him. These tea leaves all looked to be of top quality, and an exotic aroma began to spread from them. Domain taking physical form, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. When he was hit by Li Yuanfeng's tea mark before, he had an idea. Soul transformation cultivators should be able to make their domains take physical form rather than remain non-corporeal. At this moment, with Li Yuanfeng's domain attack, Wang Lin got the answer to his question. In reality, aside from getting revenge, the battle with Li Yuanfeng was also Wang Lin getting himself ready for the soul transformation stage. After reaching his current cultivation level, comprehending the heavens was one way to break through, but fighting a soul transformation cultivator was another way to comprehend his domain. There was one more reason though, which was to look for that broken arm that called itself Sichu Nan. Staring at the tea leaves around Li Yuanfeng's body, Wang Lin took a deep breath, and his origin soul spread from his body to communicate with the heavens and earth. The space had already been sealed by Li Yuanfeng, but rifts opened in space as if there was a pair of invisible hands tearing the sky open, and then a mass of gray gas came out from the rifts. More and more gray gas gathered, and then a giant scroll that covered most of the sky suddenly appeared. Life and Death, Reincarnation Scroll. Now that my original body and avatar have fused, will my domain also have changed? Wang Lin thought about the image that appeared behind his original body when he fought against the Heaven-S messenger. His heart skipped a beat, then the 3 stars quickly appeared on his forehead and began to spin. Soon, a giant figure slowly appeared behind his body. This figure's head pierced into the sky and its foot was on the ground. The moment the figure appeared, its hand reached out and grabbed the scroll. This bizarre scene caused Li Yuanfeng to stare at the sky dumbfoundedly. He was unable to speak for a long time. Although he knew that Sung Neyu's domain was life and death, now that he suddenly saw this figure, his heart began to tremble. What domain is this? Wang Lin took a deep breath. He didn't think that his avatar's domain and the ancient god's image could work together like this. He pointed at Li Yuanfeng. The giant figure shook the scroll, causing a large amount of gray gas to appear. The gas transformed into an illusionary figure similar to the Heaven-S messenger. It was made up completely of the gray gas. The figure charged toward Li Yuanfeng. A sense of danger, like when he was chased by Sun Tia's lightning, appeared in his heart. He didn't hesitate to shout, "Tea domain!" At this moment, the tea leaves around him suddenly grew and turned into tea flowers. The mysterious aroma became even stronger. The illusionary figure quickly arrived and collided with the tea flowers. The figure quickly disappeared, but the tea flowers also collapsed. This collapse happened in an instant. All of the tea flowers disappeared so quickly that it was like they had never existed. The domain aura that covered the area also disappeared. At the same time, Wang Lin felt his origin soul become weak, as if some kind of power had been pulled out of him. The life and death reincarnation scroll disappeared, and the figure also slowly dissipated. Li Yuanfeng's face was pale. His body trembled as he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. You are not at the late stage of soul formation. Your domain has already reached the soul transformation stage. Li Yuanfeng's face showed his pain as he stared at Wang Lin. But his eyes were filled with madness. Celestial spiritual energy. Li Yuanfeng decided to ignore the injuries in his body and use celestial spiritual energy. A small piece of celestial jade appeared in his hand, and then the celestial spiritual energy in his body began to move. To be able to absorb and use celestial spiritual energy, this was the standard for a soul transformation cultivator. At this moment, as a result of Li Yuanfeng using all of the celestial spiritual energy in his body, a powerful pressure appeared from him. Wang Lin's expression remained the same. He slapped his bag of holding, and the soul flag appeared. With a shake of the soul flag, countless souls came out, forming a mass of black gas around him. At the same time, the restriction flag also appeared. With a wave, countless restrictions flew out. Looking from a distance, Wang Lin was covered by a swirl of black gas like a storm. Li Yuanfeng stared at Wang Lin and let out a grin. His hand formed a seal, and then countless balls of ice appeared. This was the most common technique in Shuiyu. Almost everyone knew it. But these balls of ice contained the power to destroy the heavens and earth. Seng Niu, accept death, Li Yuanfeng shouted as he pushed his hands forward. At this moment, all of the balls of ice trembled and shot toward Wang Lin. The souls and restrictions weren't able to slow the balls of ice at all. The moment they touched the balls of ice, they disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He could feel celestial spiritual energy inside each of those balls of ice, only there wasn't a lot in them. Let's see how strong these balls of ice that contain a hint of celestial spiritual energy are. He charged out of the mass of black gas and punched a ball of ice. Boom, boom, boom. An earth-shattering sound that all of Shuiyu and the surrounding countries heard spread out. The entire land of Shuiyu began to shatter and the thick layer of snow began to collapse. Wang Lin's body quickly backed up. His right fist was slightly trembling. Layers of ice appeared on his fists but quickly disappeared. If I can reach the soul transformation stage and control celestial spiritual energy, the soul flag and restriction flag will be countless times stronger when celestial spiritual energy is infused into them. Also, the celestial sword. If celestial energy is infused into it, it will become much more powerful than before. At this moment, Wang Lin couldn't wait to reach the soul transformation stage. His eyes sparkled brightly. Sang Niu, D for me. Li Yuanfeng's eyes were bloodshot, his veins were bulging, and his expression was fierce. However, his body was trembling. This was the sign of him overusing celestial spiritual energy. After all, he didn't reach the soul transformation stage normally. He reached it by force. The amount of celestial spiritual energy he could use was very small. As usual, 2 chapters at noon, about 10 minutes apart, and 2 more at 8 in the evening, 10 minutes apart. If anything comes up, the other will be informed. Longing for the like button for the video. Chapter 395. The most talented person on planet Suzaku. The moment Wang Lin backed up, the remaining balls of ice flew toward him and smashed into him. Bang, bang. The balls of ice kept on coming at him, and he continued to throw out punches, but there were simply too many balls of ices, and the power of the collisions added up to create a powerful boom. Countless more cracks appeared on Shuiyu's earth at this moment. Li Yuanfeng's expression was fierce as he shouted, "Sangniu Di!" Wang Lin's body smashed into the ground like a meteor from the balls of ice colliding with him, creating a giant crater in the ground. A sliver of green gas came from the crater but was immediately blown away by the wind. However, not only did Li Yuanfeng's expression not relax, it became even darker. Soul transformation cultivators' techniques are indeed mysterious, but the amount of celestial spiritual energy inside your balls of ice is simply too little. A cold voice came from the crater as Wang Lin's figure slowly rose up. His clothes were somewhat damaged, but his eyes were bright. Li Yuanfeng's expression was ugly as he looked at Wang Lin. He clenched his teeth and slapped his bag of holding. He took out a pair of bronze bells. Then he spat out a mouthful of blood onto the bronze bells. The moment Wang Lin saw that pair of bronze bells, he immediately recognized them as the treasure that created the figure that called itself Situ Nan. His eyes immediately lit up. Li Yuanfeng's hand formed a seal and he shouted, "Seal!" The 2 bronze bells immediately grew. The symbols on them flashed as the blood Li Yuanfeng coughed onto them was quickly absorbed. The 2 bells suddenly cracked into pieces and 2 withered arms appeared. Thick black fog came out from the 2 arms. The fog, which contained thick yin energy, quickly spread. Li Yuanfeng's expression was fierce, and his eyes contained a hint of madness. These 2 bells were his final aces. He had been using his origin soul to refine them for many years and could control them like his own body. "Unseal!" As Li Yuanfeng shouted, he pointed at Wang Lin. The black fog around the 2 arms began to move violently and soon transformed into 2 figures. The 2 figures had no clear faces. As soon as they appeared, they charged toward Wang Lin. However, before they had even arrived, a chilling aura could be felt. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he let out a cold snort. Before, he was only at the mid-stage of soul formation and hadn't fused with his original body yet. So he wasn't a match for the black figure. However, now, he wasn't afraid at all as he charged forth and swung both of his fists. Bang! Bang! After 2 loud bangs, the 2 black figures let out miserable groans. The powerful force blew away all the black fog, revealing the 2 severed arms. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. His hand formed a seal and pointed at the arms. A ray of spiritual energy quickly shot out and surrounded the 2 severed arms. Wang Lin shouted, "Seal!" The spiritual energy quickly turned into chains and locked the 2 arms up. The 2 arms began to struggle and Wang Lin quickly controlled the soul flag and restriction flag next to the 2 arms. Wang Lin once again shouted, "Seal!" The 2 flags shook, creating a black and purple fog that completely surrounded the two arms. At the same time, Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and two bells appeared. They quickly became large and trapped the two arms. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. Li Yuanfeng's face turned pale. He turned around to escape without any hesitation. How could Wang Lin let him escape? Using the speed of the body of an ancient god, Wang Lin quickly arrived next to Li Yuanfeng and threw a punch. Bang! Li Yuanfeng coughed out blood and his body was thrown back like a meteor. Wang Lin took another step and appeared above Li Yuanfeng. He let out a roar as he threw another punch. This time, Li Yuanfeng's body flew straight down and smashed into the ground. A giant crater 1,000 feet in diameter was created. Blood was coming out from Li Yuanfeng's mouth and his vision was hazy, but there was still a trace of malice in him. Even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. Li Yuanfeng let out a roar. His eyes were bloodshot and a powerful destructive force appeared from him. Wang Lin didn't panic at all but calmly said, "Self-destruction of a soul transformation cultivator. Li Yuanfeng, I can just tear open space and leave, but the entire country of Shuiyu will have to die with you. The one who you will take to the grave with you won't me but the entire country of Shuiyu." With that, his right hand reached out and a spatial rift appeared. Waves of destructive wind flew out from the rift, but they had no effect on Wang Lin. Li Yuanfeng began to struggle. Although he was very stubborn, he was born in Shuiyu, so he had very deep emotional attachment to his country. After a short while, he let out a bitter smile. It was uncertain whether he could hurt Xianxia or not, but Shuiyu would definitely disappear from the planet. His eyes became serious. He looked at Wang Lin, took a deep breath and said, "This old man admits defeat, but the country of Shuiyu had nothing to do with this. If you're willing to let them go, this old man will let you punish me as you see fit." Wang Lin's eyes were cold as he pointed at Li Yuanfeng. He activated the soul-extracting technique, and a ray of spiritual energy landed between Li Yuanfeng's eyebrows. Li Yuanfeng didn't resist and instead let out a soft sigh. He looked around at the familiar surroundings and then closed his eyes. Wang Lin softly said, "Soul-extracting?" Li Yuanfeng's body suddenly began to shrink rapidly. In the blink of an eye, he became a bag of bones. A purple and golden ball of light flew out from between his eyebrows. Soul transformation, soul fragment. Wang Lin's eyes became serious as his hand reached out. He immediately caught the soul fragment, sealed it, and put it away inside his bag. The leader of a generation, Li Yuanfeng, died just like this. Wang Lin pondered a bit before looking at the two arms trapped by the two bells before putting them away. Then he flew into the sky. All of those soul formation cultivators saw the battle earlier through their divine senses. They saw Li Yuanfeng die, and a wave of anger appeared in their hearts. As Wang Lin floated in the sky, his divine sense swept across Shuiyu and sent out a message. From today onward, no soul formation and above cultivators are allowed to exist in Shuiyu, and no cultivation sects are allowed to exist here either, or else I'll come again. The domain in Wang Lin's origin soul activated again, and the life and death reincarnation scroll appeared in the sky once more. More than 10 rays of gray gas shot out and entered the bodies of every single soul formation cultivator in Shuiyu. Seal! With just one word, all of soul formation cultivators had their cultivation sealed like how Li Yuanfeng sealed Wang Lin's cultivation. 2 marks were left on the foreheads of those cultivators. One mark was light and other was dark. They represented life and death. Their cultivation levels plummeted. After finishing all of this, Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and the mosquito beast appeared. The mosquito beast carried Wang Lin into the distance. After this battle, the news of Xianxia's reappearance quickly spread. His position as the strongest under the soul transformation stage had solidified, and some even believed that he had reached the soul transformation stage. No one doubted Xianxia's power, for he had defeated soul transformation cultivator Li Yuanfeng, sealed all of soul formation cultivators in Shuiyu, and forcibly made a rank 5 cultivation country drop 2 ranks to become a rank 3. These things caused everyone who heard it to become shocked and pale. At this moment, in the alley of a small village in a rank cultivation country sat an old man. Before him was a small tub with some bronze coins scattered inside it. This old man was very dirty and messy, and his hair covered his face. Beside him Someone respectfully stood there. This person's face was very wide and his ears were large. If Wang Lin were present, he would recognize this man. This Sang Niu sure is strong to kill a soul transformation cultivator. Not simple at all. This old man really had good eyes back then, ha-ha. The old man rubbed his chin and looked at the man beside him and said, Sang Niu helped you turn Zhuyu into a rank cultivation country, so you should help him too. Take my straw hat and go fight with Liu Mei. Even though you are no match for her, you will still be able to escape. Check what stage her 1000-emotion ruthless domain has reached. The large-eared person respectfully agreed. He looked toward Zhuyu and revealed a look of reminiscence and melancholy. After this person left, the old man stood up and put away the bronze coins. Then muttered to himself, there are still 12 more years. Zhukizi, back then we agreed that whoever lost would punish themselves for 1,000 years. In 12 years, my self-punishment will be over. He took a deep breath and disappeared. This is really a headache. Of the 4 people I chose, this Zijin is the most troublesome. Why did she have to go mess with Sang Niu and get thrown into a spatial rift? If it wasn't for the fact that she was going to be the crack in Qianfeng's style heart, this old man wouldn't want to waste the time to rescue her. Qianfeng. Ah, this boy is the most talented person this old man has seen in his life. Even Red Butterfly's talent is below his. News of Sang Niu's battle with Li Wanfeng has spread across planet Suzaku. To force a rank 5 cultivation country into becoming a rank 3 is a big deal. Almost every cultivator on the planet knows about this. At this moment, in the back mountain of Mount Suzaku, Qianfeng crushed the sound transmission jade in his hand. His eyes lit up, and after a while he muttered, Sang Niu killing Li Yuanfeng is nothing. He is but a piece of trash who reached the soul transformation stage by force. If you can kill the giant demon clan's ancestor, you will barely qualify as my opponent. Behind him, Red Butterfly quietly stood there, her eyes devoid of any life. Qianfeng turned around and looked at Red Butterfly with an evil smile. Heartless, do you want to fight Sang Niu again? That was your soul's greatest wish before it disappeared. Mid-month already, brothers. Do you have likes for the VIDE already? Don't hold back wishing for those likes. Chapter 396 1 billion soul flag. As the news of Sang Niu's battle with Li Yuanfeng spread across the planet, Sang Niu disappeared once more. After Wang Lin left Shuyu, he immediately found an isolated place before bringing the 2 arms into the heaven-defying bead. He stood before Situnan's giant soul. When he arrived, he released the seal on the 2 arms. The moment he unsealed them, the 2 arms mysteriously floated around Situnan's soul. Wang Lin looked at what was happening with a serious expression. He had guessed that these were Situnan's arms, and now he was even more sure. For the first time in hundreds of years, Situnan's soul trembled. Then a bright light immediately appeared and surrounded the 2 severed arms. The severed arms slowly moved toward his soul and eventually disappeared into it. Wang Lin could clearly feel Situnan's soul recovering at a very fast pace. From its half-transparent state, it was gradually becoming solid. Shortly after, the light from the soul disappeared. At this moment, Situnan's soul became solid once more, but he still hadn't awakened yet. Back then, Situnan told me that only after I reach the soul transformation stage will I be able to help him reawaken. He was very vague about it. I'm afraid it has something to do with celestial spiritual energy. Wang pondered a bit while looking at Situnan's soul before looking at his parents' soul. He had stared at them for a very long time before he bitterly said, Mom, Dad, your son is supposed to send you both off back into the reincarnation cycle, but I can let go. After a very long time, Wang Lin let out a sigh and left the heaven-defying bead. Those severed arms were indeed parts of Situnan's body. I wonder if there are any more pieces of his body still remaining. Wang Lin looked into the distance as he walked out from the heaven-defying bead. That was where the giant demon clan was located. I have already checked Li Yuanfeng's soul. He only obtained the 2 severed arms by accident and has no idea where they came from. Wang Lin shook his head. Then he took a step and disappeared. I must take back the celestial sword from the giant demon clan ancestor. Back then, Sun Tai fought against the giant demon clan ancestor, but in the end, the giant demon clan ancestor won by using his bloodline power. However, he was then hunted by Sun Tai's corpse puppet, so whether he is alive or dead is unknown. Even if he didn't die, he will still need to possess a new body. The time it takes for someone to get used to their new body could be long or short. I wonder if he has fully adapted to his new body. With one step, Wang Lin appeared outside an ancient transfer array. The giant demon clan ancestor is different from Li Yuanfeng. Li Yuanfeng reached the soul transformation stage by force, but the giant demon clan ancestor reached it through his own cultivation. Also, the giant demon clan's fighting style is similar to an ancient goddess. Maybe their ancestor had some relation to the ancient gods. As a result, I am not confident in my fight against him. Wang Lin slightly frowned and stopped before entering the transfer array. One of the destinations on the transfer array was the giant demon clan. Wang Lin's expression was very unsettled as he began to think. These aren't even the most important things. The most important thing is the bloodline power he has that even the mid-stage soul transformation Sun Tai dreaded. In the end, even Sun Tai was sucked into the vortex. As a result, my confidence in winning is even lower. To battle or not to battle? For one of the first few times in Wang Lin's life, he began to hesitate. If I battle, the outcome is uncertain. Not battling would mean missing the best chance to kill this person. If I wait until he finishes his possession, I don't know how long I'll have to wait until I can kill him. The reason he wants to kill me must be because of the giant demon clan member who saw the heaven-defying bead all those years ago. Wang Lin has lived for 500 years. Even the dumbest person would become like a fox, and he wasn't dumb. These 500 years have given him the experience to see through many things. After combining various clues, he had already seen through everything when he awakened 2 years ago. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he stepped into the ancient transfer array. He placed a celestial jade into the formation, and suddenly a map with 10 shining dots appeared. Wang Lin touched one of the dots with his right hand. The map disappeared and the transfer array opened. As the array grew brighter and brighter, Wang Lin's figure slowly disappeared. An ancient transfer array in the country of Pilu flashed, and a figure walked out. The figure didn't stop but directly charged toward the soul refining sect. At night, the 3 mountains of the soul refining sect looked like 3 sharp swords pointing at the sky. Wang Lin's figure peered outside the soul refining sect. He passed through the defense formation and flew toward the 9 golden rings. The 9 golden rings shined, and then a middle-aged man appeared. When he saw Wang Lin, he revealed a complex expression before letting out a sigh and saying, "I, Yang Tian, greet Junior Sectmaster." Junior Sectmaster Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He realized that Du Tian must have told these soul formation cultivators what they had talked about. Wang Lin clasped his hands and said, "Fellow cultivator Ouyang, I want to greet the ancestor." Yang Tian shook his head and said, "Ancestor has already gone into closed-door cultivation, so unless it's a very urgent matter, he is not to be disturbed. However, the ancestor already guessed that you would come, so he prepared 2 things for me to give you." With that, his expression became even more complex as he threw out a bag of holding. Wang Lin calmly caught the bag of holding. After scanning it, his expression immediately became strange. Ouyang Tian bitterly smiled. Junior Sectmaster is the next successor appointed by Ancestor Du Tian himself. I have been in the soul refining sect for 700 years, and have never seen the ancestor give this to anyone, even though it isn't even the main flag, but an illusionary sub-flag. Earlier, he was called by Ancestor Du Tian, and was told to give Wang Lin this bag once Wang Lin arrived. He was curious, and checked what was in the bag. What he found was shocking. If it wasn't for his undying loyalty toward the soul refining sect, and his respect to Ancestor Du Tian, he would have been consumed by greed. There were only 2 things inside the bag: a piece of jade and a soul flag. Wang Lin took out the jade and scanned it. After a while, he took a deep breath and bowed toward the blood ring while saying, "Thank you." Although it was soft, he remembered this in his heart. With that, he nodded toward Ouyang Tian and disappeared. Ouyang Tian's expression became even more complex. He shook his head as he let out a sigh and returned to his golden ring. The giant demon clan's bloodline power is very strong, but the giant demon clan ancestor has just reached the soul transformation stage, so he can use it to its full extent. He can only use it to teleport someone into the void outside of Suzaku. Wang Lin didn't leave the soul refining sect but sat on top of the soul refining mountain, his eyes sparking. Inside the jade, Du Tian had recorded a very detailed description of the giant demon clan's bloodline power. Wang Lin took a deep breath. He touched the bag of holding Du Tian had left him, and then a purple and golden light flew out. This purple and golden light was very bright. It immediately turned into a 30-foot-tall flag that moved without any wind. At the same time, waves of ghostly wails seemed to come out from the flag, and the sky darkened even more. Even the moon seemed to be hiding behind the clouds as if it were too scared to come out. Several purple and golden lights could be seen inside the flag. It was as if they were going to come out and devour the heavens and the earth. 1 billion soul flag. Wang Lin took a deep breath and stared at this flag. This was the second object ancestor Du Tian had placed in the bag, and what caused Ouyang Tian's expression to be so complex. Wang Lin came back this time to borrow a treasure from ancestor Du Tian so he could kill the giant demon clan ancestor. However, this flag wasn't the real flag. The real flag was beside Du Tian during his closed-door cultivation. The flag before him was a sub-flag created from the main flag. It contained 1/3 of the power of the real flag and could only be used twice. After 2 uses, it will disappear. Even so, this sub-flag was priceless. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he grabbed the flag. The moment he touched it, his origin soul shook and extended from his body into the soul flag. Then the feeling of having entered a hell for cultivators appeared. He could see a sea of souls crashing toward him and drowning him. Waves of screams and painful sounds crashed toward Wang Lin like waves of powerful attacks. He suddenly felt like he was being hit by 1 billion soul fragments. Even with his powerful body, he felt like he was about to shatter under this force. What shocked him the most was that his origin soul showed signs of collapsing. He wasn't even able to resist one attack. The right hand holding the flag trembled. Wang Lin's eyes sparkled, and he quickly regained his focus to activate the soul sealing technique Du Tian gave him. The 1 billion soul flag was the #1 treasure of the soul refining sect. Even on the entire planet, this treasure could be considered one of the top treasures. This treasure was like the war chariot and the celestial sword. It required its own unique method that was inherited from previous generations to control. The method to controlling this soul flag was the soul sealing method. As of now, including Wang Lin, only 2 people knew the soul sealing technique. This was different from the war chariot. Although he had the technique to control it, Wang Lin was too weak to use it properly, so the power wasn't as strong as it should be. However, this soul flag wasn't the same. Although there was a cultivation level requirement, it wasn't as high as the war chariot S, with his original body and avatar fused. Wang Lin's current cultivation level was enough to use this flag. The soul sealing technique activated in his body, and his origin soul inside the soul flag suddenly began to glow. All of the soul fragments that were charging toward him let out painful screams. Among those soul fragments, there were 12 purple and golden souls that flew out and surrounded Wang Lin. These souls gave off a powerful pressure. The 12 purple and golden soul fragments bowed toward Wang Lin. Mid-month and it's been forgotten. Hoping for the like button for the video, tears start to flow. Is there still time? Chapter 397, Giant Demon Clan. Wang Lin's origin soul emitted a golden light. This golden light came from activating the soul sealing technique. The 12 souls were the 12 soul transformation ancestors of the soul refining sect that willingly gave up their souls to be sealed within the soul flag. With the 12 soul transformation soul fragments in there, the power of this soul flag was already enough to shake the heavens. In addition to those 12 soul transformation soul fragments, there were more than 100 soul formation soul fragments and countless nascent soul fragments. As the 12 soul transformation soul fragments bowed, all the other soul fragments inside the flag became silent. Soul force came out from all the soul fragments in the form of black gas and gathered before Wang Lin's origin soul. Strands of black gas gathered from all directions. Even the 12 soul transformation soul fragments turned into stands of black gas. All of the black gas gathered to form a 30-foot-tall flag before Wang Lin's origin soul. Everything Wang Lin saw was inside the soul flag. The flag that appeared before him was the spirit of the soul flag. If he could control this, he could truly control the 1 billion soul flag. Wang Lin's origin soul reached out and grabbed the flag. He suddenly felt his body tremble, and then his origin soul returned to his body. At the top of the soul refining mountain, Wang Lin opened his eyes, and found that there was nothing before him, but he could sense a purple and gold flag within him being refined by his origin soul. Giant Demon Clan ancestor, this will be a calamity you'll have a hard time escaping from. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he disappeared from the soul refining sect. After Wang Lin left, a sigh came from the blood ring where Du Tian was doing his closed-door cultivation. Wang Lin quickly appeared at the ancient transfer array, opened it up, and disappeared from Pilu. Giant Demon Clan. The Giant Demon Clan's territory was very large. When they moved over from another planet, they made an agreement with the one who was Suzaku at the time, and were given this land to flourish upon. In the Giant Demon Clan, there were 12 giant demon palaces. All 12 palaces looked the same and were very large. Ever since 2 years ago when the ancestor lost his body and possessed another, his whereabouts were unknown. After all, one was at their weakest during possession. This was why the ancestor changed his closed-door cultivation location 3 times. On this day, Chihu sat inside the third palace with a piece of jade in his hand. His face was pale and filled with confusion. Seng Niu killed Zhuai Li Yuanfeng. With my understanding of him, I think that his next target will be the ancestor. If he comes, that means he is confident. What should I do? Although the ancestor is wrong, he is the hope of the Giant Demon Clan. Everything he has done was for the future of the Giant Demon Clan. But Seng Niu considers me a real friend. Chihu bitterly shook his head. His eyes were filled with confusion. Wang Lin appeared at the edge of the Giant Demon Clan. He wasn't in a rush to enter the Giant Demon Clan. Instead, he created a cave at the border and began to use various materials in his bag to build a formation. The only purpose of this formation was to act as a beacon. This was what Wang Lin came up with to deal with the Giant Demon Clan ancestor's bloodline power. Even if he were to get teleported into space, he could use this formation as a beacon to return and not be lost in space. This was like attaching himself with a rope, so even if he gets teleported, he won't be teleported too far and will be able to find his way back. This was formation from the J Du Tian had left him. Wang Lin studied it and added some changes to it, making it even more intricate. He spent 3 months to completely set up this formation and even placed a celestial jade as its energy source. Then, he placed down countless restrictions around the area to protect it. After finishing all of this, Wang Lin raised his head toward the Giant Demon Clan. His eyes became cold, and then he disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already at the center of the Giant Demon Clan. He spread out his divine sense and immediately covered a majority of the country. Giant Demon Clan ancestor, come out now. Wang Lin's message spread through his divine sense and was immediately heard by countless Giant Demon Clan members. Some of these clan members were in the middle of cultivating or sparing, but the moment they heard this, they stopped what they were doing and looked toward Wang Lin. Chihu sighed and disappeared from the palace. After Wang Lin sent out the message, he calmly stood there. In almost the blink of an eye, countless rays of light came from all directions and stopped 1,000 feet away from him. There were males and females, old and young. All of them stared at Wang Lin with gloomy expressions. Aside from those people, there were countless more flying over. At this moment, an old man appeared from thin air, and all the other clan members made way for him. The old man stopped 100 feet before Wang Lin. He frowned and shouted, "Who are you?" Wang Lin's gaze was like lightning as he stared at the old man and said, "Sang Niu." The moment those 2 words came out, the surroundings immediately became silent. Almost all of the Giant Demon Clan members' eyes were filled with fear. Sang Niu. It was he who won against Red Butterfly. He is the Sang Niu that killed Li Yuanfeng, caused Shuiyu to become a rank 3 cultivation country, and sealed all of Shuiyu's soul formation cultivators. The #1 cultivator under the soul transformation stage. Rumor has it that he has already reached the soul transformation stage, or else there is no way he could be killed Li Yuanfeng. Even the old man who had spoken took a deep breath. He looked at Sang Niu and slowly asked, "Fellow cultivator Sang Niu, what are you looking for my clan's ancestor for?" Wang Lin's eyes were cold as he said, "Kill." The old man's expression was ugly. He let out an angry laugh as he pointed at Wang Lin and said, "I have heard that you were arrogant. Now that I've met you, I can see that you are indeed so. Sang Niu, my Giant Demon Clan is in Tishuiyua. How can we let you kill as you wish?" Today, without even the need for the ancestor to come out, my giant demon clan will kill you. With that, the old man slapped his bag of holding and a black token appeared. He held the black token up and shouted, I use my status as the elder of the giant demon clan to order all clan members to use everything to kill Song Liu. The moment he said it, the token turned to dust and a mysterious power quickly spread across the entire giant demon clan. Every clan member felt the message from the mysterious power. As the old man gave out the order, the 100+ clan members around Wang Lin all let out roars and their bodies grew several times larger. In the blink of an eye, they had all turned into giants tens of feet tall. They all touched their foreheads and war axes appeared in their hands. The aura they exuded was heaven-shattering. Kill! The old man let out a roar as crackling sounds came from all over his body. He became a 100-foot-tall giant and swung down an axe covered by a purple light on Wang Lin. Kill! The surrounding clan members all let out roars as they charged at Wang Lin. Their roars merged into a sound wave which also joined the charge. The giant demon clan was very different from other clans. Once an enemy is identified by an elder, they would never fight by themselves but attack in groups. They would also no longer try to talk anymore. Kill was the only word they would say. An ordinary cultivator would be scared to death by these giants charging at them. Even if their expression remained calm, their heart would still tremble. This sound contained heaven-shaking killing intent like a primal beast, but compared to Wang Lin, this was still not enough. Wang Lin's killing intent was very scary. He had lived almost his entire life by killing, and this was especially true for his original body. His avatar had fused with his original body, so all the killing intent from his original body was here. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as all the killing intent in his body exploded forth. Tell me where the giant demon clan ancestor is hiding, or else die. Aside from Chi Hu, Wang Lin had no good intent toward the rest of the giant demon clan. Because he couldn't find where the giant demon clan ancestor was when he spread out his divine sense, he became impatient. As he spoke, he didn't even look at the giant demon clan members charging at him, but instead activated his domain. The sky above the giant demon clan darkened. A mysterious power surrounded the heavens and earth. The life and death reincarnation scroll appeared in the sky along with the ancient goddess figure. The ancient god in the sky held a life and death scroll. At this moment, this was the only thing in the sky. Wang Lin's eyes were cold as he revealed a ruthless expression and calmly said, Seal! Countless strands of gray gas suddenly came out from the scroll and landed on the bodies of the giant demon clan members who were charging at Wang Lin. The old man's expression changed greatly. He clenched teeth and didn't back down as he swung down the axe. Wang Lin glanced at the old man and softly said, Scram! With just the power of one word, the old man's body trembled and his origin soul became unstable, however. He let out a roar and used some unknown technique to recover and continue swinging down the axe. Surprised, Wang Lin quickly threw out a punch. Bang! The old man coughed out blood and was knocked back several feet before colliding with another clan member. That member also coughed out blood, and together they were knocked back over 100 feet before they finally stopped. At this moment, 2 strands of gray gas caught up to the 2 of them and entered their bodies. Saying Niu, stop. At this moment, a voice filled with pain came from the distance. Wang Lin raised his head, and the coldness on his face lessened. Chi Hu. Mid-month and the hope for likes on the video has slipped by 2 days already? Tears streaming. Is there any hope left? Chapter 3 Test. Wang Zhuo was dazed by the scene before him. It took a long time for him to recover his senses, and the amount of arrogance in his heart had shrunk. At that moment, several rainbow-colored swords flew toward them. For each sword that dissipated, there was a Hang Yu sect disciple, each followed by several 15-year-olds. There were both male and female youths. As they landed, they too had similar expressions to Wang Lin's group, as they stared at the scene in front of them with different expressions. All of the Hang Yu sect disciples that brought the youths gathered at the side and started talking about the youths. After waiting for a while, all the other youths who had been recommended arrived at the sect. A black-clad middle-aged man scanned the area. He emotionlessly said, among the lot of you, only a few will be selected to be Hang Yu sect disciples. All of the youths cried out in shock. Wang Lin's heart shuddered. He counted a total of 48 people taking the test. Cultivation, the path to becoming an immortal, depends on your natural talent. The first test is to see whether or not your spirit is strong enough. Now whoever I point to will come up and take the test. The middle-aged man emotionlessly pointed at a youth. The youth's legs trembled. He walked over carefully. The middle-aged man put his hand on his head and said, "Not qualified. Stand to the left." The youth suddenly lost all strength. Face looking bleak and eyes blank, he moved to the left in silence. Then, another youth was pointed at. He moved forward with a fearful expression. Not qualified. 10 people in a row all failed the test. Up until now, there was still no one to the right of the middle-aged man. It was Wang Zhuo's turn. All of his previous pride had disappeared from his face. Looking pale, he stepped forward. After the middle-aged man put his hand on Wang Zhuo's head, his face suddenly lit up and asked, "What is your name?" Wang Zhuo quickly replied respectfully, "Immortal Hui Bing, my name is Wang Zhuo." The middle-aged man nodded. He smiled and said, "So, you are the one martial teacher mentioned." "Good, Wang Zhuo, stand to the right." Wang Zhuo felt exultation and walked toward the right under everyone's admiration. His eyes were filled with arrogance and contempt as he looked at the crowd. He felt untouchable. "Motherfucker, he is one lucky dog," Wang Hao murmured to Wang Lin while curling his lip. Wang Lin's heart became more tense. In front of his eyes rose his parents' eyes, filled with expectations. He tightened his fists. "Not bad." "You also stand to the right," said the middle-aged man, surprised, to the young girl in front of him. After a short period of time, almost all of youths had been tested, and only 2 stood to the right of the middle-aged man. Wang Hao was up next. Wang Hao quickly ran up to the middle-aged man. Before he could even start the test, he knelt to the ground and kowtowed a few times. He said, "Immortal Hui Bing, may you enjoy a long life. My name is Wang Hao. You already tested so many people. You must be tired. Why don't you rest for a while?" "I am in no rush. It's no problem." The middle-aged man laughed out loud. Testing so many people whose faces were filled with fear, yet this clever youth here, without the slightest bit of fear, was trying to win favor with him. He pressed his hand on Wang Hao's head and said, "Spirit is lacking not." The moment Wang Hao heard his spirit was lacking, his heart plummeted. Without waiting for the middle-aged man to finish, he quickly pulled out a jaded box and presented it in front of him. Wang Hao wisely said, "Immortal Hui Bing, my father found this by accident in the mountain, but was unable to open it. I especially brought it to give to Immortal Hui Bing." The middle-aged man chuckled as he shook his head. He was about to refuse Wang Hao, but as he scanned the box, his pupils suddenly contracted. His face suddenly lit up. "Not bad. This is an at least 300-year-old mushroom." Looking at the jade box, it was sealed by a cultivator. "No wonder your father couldn't open it." He paused, then said, with a slightly faltering voice, "I am in need of a helper for my pill concoction. Are you willing to be my helper?" Wang Hao, surprised, got up quickly. The difference in treatment was like heaven and earth, causing him to be very excited. He exclaimed, "Yes, Immortal Hui Bing, I am willing." The middle-aged man said, while chuckling, "Being my helper, I won't mistreat you. You can cultivate just like the other disciples. Go stand to the right." Wang Hao was very excited in his heart. He ran to the right side and faced Wang Zhuo with a triumphant stare. The faces of all the youths that failed turned pale. All of them felt very depressed. A few even started crying. The middle-aged man frowned. He shouted, "Send away all those who started crying." A few of the Hengyu sect disciples stepped out. They quickly took the ones that started crying and casually disappeared in swords of light. The middle-aged man pointed at Wang Lin. Wang Lin took a deep breath. He nervously walked toward the side of the middle-aged man. His mind was completely blank. Praying silently in his heart, he couldn't help but remember the expectations in his parents' eyes. "I will definitely be selected," Wang Lin thought, with determination. The middle-aged man's hand pressed on his head. With a deadpan face, he said the 2 words Wang Lin dreaded the most. "Not qualified." Wang Lin didn't remember how he had made it to the left side. He only heard the spring thunder roaring in his ears and echoing the 2 words the middle-aged man had said. After a moment, everyone had been tested, and only 3 people stood to the right. In the eyes of everyone else, the 3 were insurmountable and immensely tall. Wang Zhuo looked at Wang Lin with face full of contempt, fully expressing his disdain for him. While a strong spirit is needed in order to be a cultivator, perseverance is even more important. Even ordinary students like you with enough perseverance can become a sect disciple. The second test is perseverance. The middle-aged man paused, then said, with a deadpan face, follow the steps up. If you reach the top, you are qualified. If you not finish within 3 days, you fail. Those who fail will be returned to their families. If you cannot endure any longer or meet danger, just yell out loud, and someone will come and save you. The middle-aged man smiled to the three on his right and said, You too, follow me to meet the patriarch. We will also find you masters. Wang Hao, you don't need to go. Come with me to the pill house so you can get used to the place. After the middle-aged man finished giving instructions, he took the 3 selected youths and disappeared into the mountains. Wang Lin took a deep breath. His eyes were full of determination. He walked up the stone steps with no hesitation and started the test of perseverance. Aside from the 3 selected youths and the 6 crying youths who were taken away, 39 remained. Among these 39 youths, the ones that were very depressed, the ones very determined, and those who were scared all walked towards their own future. It's the middle of the month. Wishing Leo's video gets plenty of likes. Remember to like and share Leo's video, okay? And don't forget to leave your thoughts about the video. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter Wealth. Sun Daju nodded his head in satisfaction and said, You can keep this token. It will allow you to freely enter and exit this garden. But remember, you aren't allowed to touch any of the herbs without my permission. Wang Lin nodded. He knew that Sun Daju didn't like him, but seeing how he had already reached the 3rd layer, Sun Daju at least recognized him as a disciple. Wang Lin respectfully left. Not long after, he arrived at the sword pavilion in the main courtyard. He was here many years ago, and being here again made him remember the scene from back then. Outside the sword pavilion sat a disciple in white. He looked like he was 30 years old, and kinda chubby. Wang Lin didn't recognize him, so it seemed he didn't participate in the intense training. He looked at Wang Lin and exclaimed, Junior brother, you are only at the R&D layer. What are you doing here? This is a place only disciples of the TH layer or higher can enter. Wang Lin remained silent. He took out the token Sun Daju gave him and tossed it over. After the fat disciple received the token, his face became strange, as if he was trying to hold back a smile. Soon he couldn't hold it back any longer and burst out laughing. It seems to be elder brother's son's tradition. I had forgotten about this. Elder brother's son has this tradition that at every one competition with another sect, he likes to show off a flying sword. Wang Lin became embarrassed, especially thinking about Sun Daju's serious expression before. He warily smiled. The fat man laughed for a long time. He forced down his laughter and waved his hand, saying, Junior brother, you can go. I recommend the sword 3 from the right. That flying sword is really amazing. The first time I saw it, I thought it was the most amazing flying sword in the country of Zhao. Wang Lin quickly thanked the man and made his way toward the pavilion. When he was 5 meters away, he suddenly detected waves of energy from the pavilion, seemingly to try to prevent him from entering. Seeing this, the fat man realized that he forgot to turn off the formation set around the pavilion. He wanted to tell Wang Lin, but right when he was about to speak, he suddenly stopped as if there was a fishbone stuck in his throat. His eyes grew large and stared at Wang Lin with a look of disbelief. Wang Lin felt the resistance and remembered the shame from back then. He snorted and kept moving forward. 5 meters, 4 meters, 3 meters, 2 meters, 1 meter. Despite the resistance increasing, it wasn't able to stop Wang Lin at all, and he easily stepped into the sword pavilion. After entering the room, he used his divine sense and found that the room he was currently in was very strange. It seemed his divine sense was restricted to only 3 meters in range. The fat man immediately jumped up with a shocked expression on his face. He was the disciple in charge of managing the sword pavilion, so he knew the power of the formations very well. Not to mention inner disciples, but a lot of the elders couldn't force their way in like Wang Lin just had. Only when recruiting disciples was the power of the formation weakened hundreds of folds, so that the sword's energy could be released to see if there were any matches. Is the formation broken? The fat man couldn't believe what had just happened. He think the formation had to be broken, so he moved up to test it himself. Just when he entered the 5-meter range, he felt a very strong pressure that made him feel like he was a leaf in the turbulent sea. He was mercilessly thrown out. His body flew black and made an arc as he fell. He coughed out a few mouthfuls of blood after he landed on the ground. After a long time, he recovered his senses. His was face filled with fear. He exclaimed, Not broken. Wang Lin easily entered the room. Once inside, he saw that there were many flying swords of various lengths, all releasing powerful sword intent. Wang Lin scanned each sword one by one without stopping, until he finally saw the sword that the fat man said was the most amazing-looking sword in the country of Zhao. After seeing it, Wang Lin was speechless. It could really be considered the most amazing-looking flying sword. It shouldn't really even have been regarded as a flying sword, but more like a rectangular sign. It was 2 palms wide, 1 meter long, and the whole body shined with a golden light. The reason for the golden light was not because this was some sword with a magical spell. The golden light was there because the entire sword was coated with gold. Also, Don T think that the coat of gold was there just to hide some amazing sword under. It was just regular iron. On the handle were 2 large diamonds, and even the sword tassel was made from thin strips of gold. In short, taking this sword out to show people would really amaze them, and maybe even make them think it was an amazing sword. Wang Lin stroked his chin. He is really optimistic about the sword. If anything else, at least if he ever needed money in the future, he can sell it for a lot of money. On the flying sword, there was a sign that read, "This sword's name is wealth." It was made by a sect elder 500 years ago and said to have unimaginable power. But in reality, this sword has been broken and rebuilt many times. However, because the elder had done much for the sect, his last will was to leave the sword here in hopes that it finds someone fitting in the future. Whoever chooses this sword must treat it well. If it breaks, it must be immediately repaired. If it's sold, then the person who sold it will be kicked from the sect. Wang Lin couldn't hold in his laughter. He picked up the sword and said, "I'll chose you then, but I, Wang Lin, am a poor man, so if you break, don't expect me to put you back together." After putting the flying sword away in his bag of holding, he left the room. The fat man outside looked nervous. Instead of the mocking laughter from before, he respectfully sent Wang Lin off. Wang Lin's divine sense was restricted inside the pavilion, so he didn't see what happened to the fat man, so he was surprised at why the fat man suddenly became so respectful. After returning to Sun Daju's garden, Wang Lin took out the sword. Sun Daju was stunned, and after mumbling to himself for a while, he glanced thoughtfully at Wang Lin and said, "When I saw this sword before, I didn't have the guts to take it, but it seems you have guts. Good. Take this sword with you to the competition in 3 days and show it off to the elders." 3 days later, the bell in the Hang Yu sect rang 9 times. It echoed for a very long time through the mountain. The head, all the elders, and many disciples all stood outside the main hall. They saw a black dot appear in the sky. The black dot got closer and closer to them until they saw it was a 1,000-foot-long centipede. The centipede was completely black. It seemed to step on black clouds as it thunderously roared towards them. All of the Hang Yu sect inner disciples took a deep breath, their eyes filled with fear. Some of the female disciples' faces became pale and their legs became weak. What's the big deal about it? Although this 1,000-foot-long centipede looks scary, if everyone here struck it with a sword, it will still die. The red-faced man next to the sect head shouted. His voice was very loud. It seemed he wanted the people on the centipede to hear. Mid-month, hoping to get the like button pressed for the video. Chapter 398, Chihu's Choice. Chihu's figure moved like lightning and arrived almost immediately after he heard those words. He looked at his surrounding clan members who each had a light and dark mark on their foreheads. Chihu could only detect very faint spiritual energy fluctuations. It was clear that their cultivations had already been sealed. These more than 100 clan members all displayed very ugly expressions with shock mixed in. Although they had already heard of this, to experience it themselves made them feel very bitter. Chihu looked at Wang Lin with a complex expression and loudly asked, "Sang Niu, do you consider me, Chihu, your friend?" Wang Lin looked at Chihu and nodded. "I don't have many friends in my life, but you, Chihu, can be considered one." Chihu stared at Wang Lin and said, word for word, "Sang Niu, if you consider I, Chihu, your friend, then immediately leave the giant demon clan." Wang Lin pondered a bit. After a while, he slowly said, "Chihu, do you know why I haven't killed a single person in the giant demon clan yet?" If it wasn't tea for you, I wouldn't tea have spared them. As the two spoke, even more giant demon clan members arrived and surrounded them. They created an oppressive aura that slowly closed in. Chihu's heart felt bitter. He revealed a strained expression and said, "Sang you." Wang Lin looked at Chihu and gently sighed. "Chihu, tell me where the giant demon clan ancestor is and I'll go find him. As for the other giant demon clan members, I want tea hurt them." So bold. Madness. Countless curses came from the surrounding giant demon clan members. Then 3 old men wearing purple and with axes flashing on their foreheads walked out. When the 3 of them appeared, a powerful spiritual pressure came with them. Wang Lin glanced at them. All 3 of them were at the peak of the late stage of soul formation. They also had traces of celestial spiritual energy inside them. They were clearly on the edge of breaking through to the soul transformation stage. One of the purple-robed elders gloomily said, "Sang Niyu, I am the head elder of the giant demon clan. I challenge you to a duel." Wang Lin's eyes were cold. He looked at the elder and said, "You are not worthy." With that, he turned back to Chihu for his reply. The old man's face changed from green to red as he stared at Wang Lin. After letting out a laugh, his eyes became cold and he stepped forward. A giant axe appeared in his hand and he charged toward Wang Lin with a roar. Members of the giant demon clan rarely use any spells or techniques. They mostly use their powerful bodies to attack. Wang Lin glanced at that old man. He formed a fist with his right hand and threw a punch. Boom! With a loud bang, the old man was forced back several feet and his face paled as he revealed a look of disbelief. The other purple-robed elders' expressions changed greatly as they secretly cursed. Wang Lin didn't even move. He looked at the old man and said, "You are still not worthy." Chihu bitterly said, "I don't know where the ancestor is." Sang Niu, stay your hand. My giant demon clan is not your enemy. Wang Lin pondered. After a long time, he looked into the sky and then pointed at Chihu. "Chihu, tell your ancestor to return my flying sword and I leave immediately." Chihu secretly sighed. He looked at Wang Lin as he struggled to make a choice in his heart. Shortly after, he depressingly said, "No one knows where the ancestor is, but once we open the heaven passage formation, we can contact the ancestor. Sang Niu, once you have the celestial sword, you should quickly leave." Wang Lin looked at Chihu and slowly nodded. The 3 purple-robed elders remained silent. They were the 3 strongest members of the clan aside from the ancestor. If they couldn't resist against Wang Lin, there was no need to talk about the other clan members. Especially after they saw that more than 100 clan members were sealed, their hearts immediately darkened. Chihu turned around to look at the 3 elders with a complex expression in his eyes and said, "3 elders, please open the giant demon clan's heaven passage formation. I order it as the junior sect master." The 3 purple-robed elders looked at each other and quickly nodded. Without any hesitation, they slapped their foreheads and a purple axe appeared in each of their hands. "Open the western giant demon palaces," one of the elders shouted. He threw the axe in his hand into the air and shot out rays of spiritual energy. The ground of the giant demon clan suddenly began to shake, and a black pillar of light that pierced through the sky appeared in the western part of the giant demon clan. A powerful wave of spiritual energy began to spread from it. At the same time, a black pillar of light appeared in the east. This didn't end just yet. After the 2 pillars of black light appeared, a third one soon followed. The ground shook even more and countless cracks spread all over the ground. Ripples of spiritual energy spread out from each of the 3 pillars. "Open the southern giant demon palaces." The other 2 purple-robed elders shouted almost at the same time as the first and threw their axes into the air as well. The north and south suddenly began to rumble as a total of 6 more black pillars appeared. At this moment, a mysterious sound began to echo in all directions. Chihu looked at Wang Lin. He clenched his teeth and said, "Open the eastern giant demon palaces." The moment he said that, rumblings could be heard from the east and 3 black pillars appeared. If someone were to look from above, the entire giant demon clan was completely covered by the black light from the pillars. With 3 pillars in each direction, it seemed to form a heavenly prison. At this moment, as the 12 pillars rose into the sky, all of the clan members around Wang Lin sat down cross-legged and began to mutter. Their voices fused together in a very strange way, and like an endless curse, it began to spread. At this moment, the giant demon clan members who hadn't arrived yet, whether they were at the QI condensation stage or the soul formation stage, all stopped and began to echo this strange song. The song seemed to be the only sound left in this world. The 12 black pillars emitted a black light, and in reaction to this strange song, the black light became even stronger. Wang Lin revealed a hint of sadness in his eyes. He saw the struggle in Chihu's eyes. However, he had very few relations with anyone, and really considered Chihu his friend. In a 5,000-kilometer radius, he and Chihu were the only ones standing. Everyone else was sitting down cross-legged while singing that strange song. Chihu looked at Wang Lin with a complex expression and bitterly said, "Sang Niu, I let you down." However, the ancestor is the hope of my giant demon clan, and as the junior sect master, this is my duty even with the ancestor's body. He can withstand 8 blows from the heaven passage formation. Your body isn't as strong as the bodies of my giant demon clan members, so there is no chance of survival. He raised his right hand and pointed at Wang Lin. The strange song that surrounded the entire giant demon clan suddenly became even louder and more intense. The 12 black pillars suddenly trembled and started moving very quickly toward Wang Lin, who was at the center. Wang Lin let out a sigh. He looked at Chihu and blandly said, "Chihu, for what happened at the celestial realm, you owed me, and from 2 years ago, I owe you. Consider the two matters even." Chihu's eyes darkened. "Even that is indeed correct, we are even." Wang Lin raised his head to look at the 12 black pillars coming from all directions and laughed. "Chihu, do you really think this heaven passage formation can kill me?" "Break for me." Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He suddenly appeared before one of the black pillars and threw a punch. Boom! The black pillar suddenly shattered, creating a powerful force. Wang Lin's body was pushed back several feet and his right fist started bleeding. The first pillar. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. During the fight with Li Yuanfeng, he wasn't able to use the full power of a 3-star ancient god's body. At this moment his eyes were filled with battle intent. He licked the blood from his right fist and charged toward the next pillar. With a bang, the second pillar suddenly collapsed. Wang Lin laughed and said, "The second pillar!" His figure moved once more and appeared next to another pillar. The sky was currently filled with countless cracks due to the black pillars. It was reaching its limit before shattering. Boom, 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 boom. Wang Lin began to laugh like mad. He moved again and shattered another pillar. Every time he shattered a pillar, his fist would bleed, and he would lick away the blood. The current Wang Lin was very fierce. As he laughed, he shouted, "The 8th pillar!" His clothes were in pieces, revealing his well-toned upper body filled with tiny cracks. The 3 stars on his forehead spun rapidly, not allowing anyone to see exactly what was there. The song from the giant demon clan became even louder and stranger. Their bodies were no longer unmoving but waving back and forth in a pattern. Chihu revealed a look of disbelief. In the giant demon clan, no one but the ancestor could withstand 8 pillars, and that was the ancestor's limit. Of course, this was when he was only using his body. If the ancestor were to use spells, he could withstand all 12 pillars but would be injured. Wang Lin let out a roar and moved like lightning as he threw out more punches. He shattered 3 of pillars in a row. The current Wang Lin was like a primal demon god. The last pillar. Chihu looked carefully. As Wang Lin's voice echoed in the heavens, the last pillar arrived. This time, Wang Lin didn't T-punch, but with a roar, his body suddenly grew into a giant more than 100 feet tall. Boom! The black pillar hit Wang Lin's chest and shattered. Wang Lin was forced back 3 steps, but he wasn't T-injured at all. He let out a roar, and the heaven passage formation shattered. This was a real display of the peak power of a 3-star ancient god. Chihu, things are even between us. Giant demon clan, seal! Wang Lin's giant finger pointed at the sky and countless strands of gray gas appeared and entered the bodies of all the giant demon clan members. From today onward, there will be no nascent soul or above cultivators. If anyone wants to break through past the core formation stage, they must have my approval. This is your punishment. Wang Lin's eyes were cold. At this moment, his word was like the heaven's law that would decide the fate of the giant demon clan. The fusion of the avatar and the original body, the fusion of a late-stage soul formation cultivator and a 3-star ancient god, they created a very powerful Wang Lin. Unless a soul transformation cultivator used celestial spiritual energy, no one on the planet had a body that could match the strength of his body. This was an ancient god, a 3-star ancient god. Wang Lin already considered all of this. If he were to keep on hiding his strength like before, it would only invite trouble from more people. He might as well use killing Li Yuanfeng and the giant demon clan ancestor as examples to show the entire planet, and especially Zhu Gaiji, that he was not a pawn. After going to the country of Suzaku, Wang Lin felt a depressing feeling shrouding him. This was caused by the country of Suzaku and Mount Suzaku. Lu Mei's appearance was like a corner of the fog being lifted, allowing Wang Lin to confirm that he was trapped in a conspiracy. With Wang Lin's personality, how could he allow others to push him about? This was why he didn't hesitate to show his full strength. He didn't want to become a pawn. Even if he was a pawn, he would be a pawn covered in thorns, causing anyone who touched him to bleed. Even if the matter of him being an ancient god was exposed, he had a way out. The ancient gods had already been extinct for countless years and were legends from ancient times. Even if Zhu Gaiji saw Wang Lin, he wouldn't even be able to confirm if Wang Lin really was an ancient god. After all, there were people who focused on refining their bodies. The giant demon clan was a whole group of these people. Wang Lin already considered all of this. He didn't plan on staying on Suzaku for long. He planned to leave and go to planet Tianyun once he obtains the 1 billion soul flag. Giant demon clan ancestor, come out now! Wang Lin floated in the air as he shouted. His voice spread across the entire giant demon clan. Chi Hu let out a wry smile as his body slumped over and fell down. Wang Lin didn't kill him, but as the person in control of the formation, he suffered the backlash and sustained heavy injuries when it was destroyed. Wang Lin's voice spread across the entire giant demon clan. At this moment, no one dared to stand up and resist this shout. The only person who had the power to resist was the giant demon clan ancestor who remained hidden. At this moment, at the border of the giant demon clan, a woman wearing purple stood there, looking toward Wang Lin. She was very beautiful. Her eyes were filled with a mysterious light as she muttered to herself, "So this is your true strength, Wang Lin. It looks like even Master underestimated you." Welcome everyone to watch. Fans of the narrative chapter expressed their wishes for praise in the latest installment. May the new chapter receive even more acclaim. Chapter 399, The Ancestor Appears. Wang Lin's voice echoed inside the giant demon clan. At the northern part of the giant demon clan, 500 kilometers underground, there was a golden cave with one person sitting inside. This person was sitting in the lotus position and cultivating. He looked very handsome. At this moment, he suddenly opened his eyes. His gaze seemed to be able to penetrate the cave walls and see the outside. Shortly after, his eyes became cold and he muttered, "Junior Wang Lin, I'll let you be arrogant for a bit longer. Once I have finished my possession, I'll kill you. Even if you seal the giant demon clan members, I can just unseal them." With that, he closed his eyes again and began to cultivate. Just at this moment, his bag of holding began to glow black. He frowned as he slapped his bag of holding, and the celestial sword he had stolen from Wang Lin flew out. Black gas came out of the celestial sword and took the form of Shuliguo. Shuliguo's eyes were bloodshot, and his expression was filled with hatred. He looked into the distance and said, "Master, I can feel that the fiend is here. Master, I swore to get revenge on this person. Let me go out and fight him." The giant demon clan ancestor looked at Shuliguo. Throughout the last 2 years, he had interacted a lot with Shuliguo. He felt that a sword spirit with intelligence was really amazing, and he really liked this sword spirit. "You want to kill him, but you have to wait until I finish my possession." Shuliguo immediately changed his expression to one where he was trying to please the giant demon clan ancestor. He quickly nodded and said, "Master really cares about me. You're much better than that fiend, Wang Lin. I will forever remain loyal to Master. However, Master, when you are killing Wang Lin, can you let me land the final blow?" The giant demon clan ancestor laughed and said, "How did that Wang Lin treat you to make you hate him so?" Shuliguo clenched his teeth and said, "Master, you don't know how much I hate that Wang Lin. Not only did he force me to work, but he would call me out just to beat and curse at me. Those don't matter much, but the more important thing was that he never gave me any benefits, unlike Master, who gives me spirit stones to absorb. Master, when we kill that Wang Lin, how about you award me with a few women? How about calling out little sister Fairy? I haven't seen her in a while and I really miss her." The giant demon clan ancestor faintly smiled and said, "This is easy. Once we kill Wang Lin, I'll call out Fang Luan's soul and let you meet her. Now, this old man needs to go into closed-door cultivation, so go back inside." With that, he reached out. Although Shu Liguo had a smile on his face, he cursed in his heart. He went back into the celestial sword and was put back inside the bag. This sword's spirit is filled with human greed. It is indeed very mysterious, but this also makes him easy to control. I can give him spirit stones and female cultivators, so I don't believe he will betray me. Also, this sword spirit seems to be obsessed with Feng Luan's soul. With her in my hands, he won't be able to escape me. The giant demon clan ancestor sneered as he closed his eyes to cultivate once more. Feng Luan's soul was the soul of a treasure he accidentally obtained one day. This soul was very beautiful and filled with lust. When he met it for the first time, he was almost mesmerized by it due to his low cultivation level back then. Luckily, this soul was damaged, so he was able to escape that calamity, and to this day, he still dreaded it. After obtaining the celestial sword, he found that Shu Liguo was very mysterious, and so, to control the sword spirit completely, he called out Feng Luan's soul. As he expected, Shu Liguo jumped at the soul like a hungry wolf and was completely captivated by her. Wang Lin waited in the sky above the giant demon clan for a while. After seeing the giant demon clan ancestor not appearing, his expression darkened. The giant demon clan was very large and contained many mountains. If he really wanted to hide, it would be very difficult to find him. Wang Lin looked toward the east and saw the tallest mountain in the giant demon clan. For some reason, he felt a mysterious force coming from that mountain. Just as he was about to check it out, his eyes suddenly became serious as he looked toward the north and let out a faint smile. Shu Liguo. Wang Lin's figure disappeared, and he charged north. He was flying with the body of a 3-star ancient god, so he moved as fast as lightning. With only a few teleports, he arrived at the northern part of the giant demon clan. Looking at it from above, it was a grassy plain. Wang Lin's eyes were sharp. As he spread out his divine sense, he felt like something was off. Around 500 kilometers underground, there was a thin barrier that would gently redirect his divine sense when it passed over it. If he wasn't so close, he wouldn't be able to detect it. With a sneer on his face, Wang Lin let out a roar, formed a fist and smashed into the ground. Boom! An earth-shattering sound echoed and a crack appeared in the earth. This crack spread in all directions and also quickly spread deep underground. Waves of crackling sounds came from underground for a long time before it finally died down. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as he let out another shout and punched the ground. The violent shockwave quickly spread underground. The sound of the earth shattering was like a dragon's roar. "Giant demon clan ancestor, come out now!" Wang Lin shouted, and then he threw another punch. Boom! With this punch, the plane immediately collapsed, creating a huge hole, and then a green figure suddenly charged out from underground. Sang Niu. This person was middle-aged, but his eyes revealed an age not fitting for his appearance. He looked at Wang Lin and shouted, "I originally didn't want to deal with you yet, but since you came, it's obvious that you're looking for death." With that, he took a step forward, closed in on Wang Lin like lightning, and threw a punch. Wang Lin let out a laugh. He didn't back up, but instead threw a punch to meet the punch of the giant demon clan ancestor. Boom! The shockwave blew back all the surrounding rocks and sand. The giant demon clan ancestor was knocked back tens of feet, and cracks appeared in the bones of his right fist. His face was filled with disbelief. Wang Lin's body only backed up several steps, and his arms slightly trembled. He could feel a powerful force enter his body and try to tear him apart, but that was quickly dissolved by his origin soul. The giant demon clan's body refining technique is indeed mysterious. Wang Lin charged toward the giant demon clan ancestor once more. The giant demon clan ancestor cursed in his heart. His possession wasn't complete, so he could only use 80% of his power. But even at 80%, the strength of his body was terrifying enough that he was not even afraid of certain treasures. But just now, when he traded that punch with Wang Lin, the hardest bones in his body had cracked. How could he not be shocked? "What is your cultivation method?" The giant demon clan ancestor quickly backed up with a gloomy expression. However, Wang Lin was too fast. he had already arrived before him with another punch. This punch created a pressure that locked him in place. Thin lines appeared out of nowhere and attempted to wrap around him. The giant demon clan ancestor's eyes lit up. As his body moved, it creaked due to the pressure and the thin lines. He jumped into the air and used a kick to meet Wang Lin's punch. Bang! Another earth-shattering sound echoed across the entire giant demon clan. The giant demon clan ancestor's face turned red. He used the force of the impact to quickly back away. Wang Lin felt pain in his right fist. He took a few steps back before finally stopping. Wang Lin took a deep breath. This giant demon clan ancestor hadn't he finished his possession, and yet his body was almost on par with a 3-star ancient god. If he was able to complete his possession, his body would be almost no weaker than a 3-star ancient god. The giant demon clan ancestor's face was really gloomy. When he saw Wang Lin destroy the 12 pillars, he decided to not appear. However, now that Wang Lin had found him, he had no choice but to fight. Wang Lin glared at the giant demon clan ancestor and charged forth once more. The giant demon clan ancestor let out a roar as his body grew and became a giant more than 100 feet tall. Without any hesitation, he used celestial spiritual energy, and a golden light spread across his body. The amount of celestial spiritual energy Liu Yuanfeng could use couldn't he compare to him. After all, the giant demon clan ancestor had reached the early stage of soul transformation on his own. This old man didn't he want to use celestial spiritual energy because it will mess with my possession. Otherwise, I would have instantly killed you with it. Now that you have forced me to use celestial spiritual energy, you just asking for death. The giant demon clan ancestor shouted, and the golden light on his body became even brighter. Like the sun, the light was blinding. As his body moved, the sky shattered, creating countless spatial rifts. Waves of destructive wind came out from the rifts and covered the surrounding area. He threw a punch filled with golden light. This punch was filled with celestial spiritual energy. It was the full power of an early-stage soul transformation cultivator. Normal cultivators would infuse celestial spiritual energy into their spells and techniques, but for the giant demon clan members, nothing was better than their bodies. So this punch not only contained celestial spiritual energy, it also contained the powerful force of the body of a giant demon clan member. The power of one punch caused the entire plain north of the giant demon clan to shatter and collapse into countless specks of dust that were pushed far away by the pressure. Wang Lin, accept your death. The giant demon clan ancestor also felt helpless. Now that he had used celestial spiritual energy, this body could no longer be used again, and he would have to find another body. After the body has been damaged by the celestial energy, he wouldn't be able to properly fuse with it anymore. It would only be possible to use it if his cultivation level was at the mid-stage of soul transformation. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with a strange light. The power of that punch made him feel a sense of danger. Aside from the time he fought against the Heaven's Messenger, this was the second time Wang Lin had felt danger when he was fused with his original body. But at this moment, Wang Lin wasn't afraid at all. He let out a roar as the 3 stars on his forehead began to rapidly spin and a purple aura covered his body. At the same time, the figure of the ancient god appeared behind him once more. Today marks the first watch, longing for the like button for the VIDEO. The VIDEO wants to charge up the trending charts, hoping the veteran supporters lend their firepower. Chapter 400, Shu Liguo. Wang Lin took a deep breath and gently threw a punch. Although the punch was gentle, it moved the ancient god figure behind him. The figure also raised its fist and threw out a punch at the same time. The giant demon clan ancestor's fist quickly arrived and collided with Wang Lin's fist. Boom! 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 The giant demon clan ancestor's face became pale as he coughed out a large mouthful of blood and his body weakened. Without any hesitation, he slapped his bag of holding, causing the celestial sword to appear. His expression was fierce as he shouted, "Wang Lin, accept your death!" Then he threw the celestial sword and then pointed at it. Wang Lin's body flew back like a meteor and was thrown far away. His entire right arm felt sore and numb. He had lost all feeling in his arm. The combination of the giant demon clan ancestor's body and celestial spiritual energy inflicted damage upon him, causing his body to turn from a giant over 100 feet tall to normal size, but his eyes were still sparkling. The moment the celestial sword appeared, black gas came out of it, forming the shape of Shu Liguo. The giant demon clan ancestor's face was fierce as he shouted, "Slice!" The moment he said that word, a powerful sword energy gathered on the celestial sword and descended upon Wang Lin. Shu Liguo let out a roar and shouted, "Wang Lin, I am coming for my revenge." The giant demon clan's ancestor revealed a smile and laughed. "Wang Lin, watch this old man use your own treasure to kill you." Wang Lin revealed a mocking smile. He didn't dodge but pointed at the celestial sword. The celestial sword suddenly turned around and slashed down on the giant demon clan ancestor like lightning. The giant demon clan ancestor was stunned, and his expression changed. The sword energy was already upon him, so it was too late for him to dodge. He was only able to move back a bit. The sword energy slashed down, and along with a splash of blood, the giant demon clan ancestor's left arm was cut clean off. He let out a miserable groan as he quickly backed up, leaving a trail of blood. "Shu Liguo, this old man will extract your soul and refine you alive in yang fire." The hatred within the giant demon clan ancestor could shatter the heavens, and his anger could swallow the land. He let out a roar of rage as he quickly backed away. He couldn't help but back away, for he hadn't finished his possession, and had to use celestial spiritual energy in that punch. Then Wang Lin met it with a punch with power equal to his own, causing his injuries to worsen. But he calculated that Wang Lin would be injured as well, so he took out the celestial sword to kill Wang Lin. However, at that important moment, Shu Liguo betrayed him, and he wasn't able to dodge in time, so he lost an arm. Shu Liguo immediately laughed and shouted, "Little brat, no matter how powerful you are, you can compared to your grandpa Shu. I am forever loyal. How could I be so easily controlled by you?" After Shu Liguo finished speaking, he quickly turned toward Wang Lin and smiled. "Master, how was it? How was it? Have I done good this time?" Wang Lin let out a faint smile. He moved and grabbed the celestial sword. Then he charged toward the giant demon clan ancestor and said, "You did good. After we kill this person, I'll take you to the foreign battleground and let you absorb the wandering souls there to increase your soul power." Shu Liguo immediately became very happy. During these past 2 years, he was indeed tempted. After all, the giant demon clan ancestor was good to him. However, whenever he thought about how Wang Lin treated the wandering souls in number 2 and number 3, his heart shivered, and he immediately gave up on betraying Wang Lin. In his view, this Wang Lin walked a bloody path. Everyone who had messed with Wang Lin had been killed and none were spared. He felt that this giant demon clan ancestor wouldn't be any different, so he had to make sure he picked the right side, or else there would be disaster to come. Right now, he felt very proud and thought, "Your grandpa Shu is still the smartest. It looks like I did the right thing this time. In the future, this fiend will definitely see me in a new light." Thinking about how good the giant demon clan ancestor had treated him, he couldn't help but feel a bit sad and think, why couldn't Master have come in a few years so I could enjoy it a bit more? So unfortunate. Especially when he thought about that little sister fairy. His heart ached and he thought, "Don't worry, little sister fairy, I'll definitely save you from the sea of fire." Another reason why Shu Liguo betrayed the giant demon clan ancestor without any hesitation beside his crippling fear of Wang Lin was Feng Luan's soul. When he interacted with that soul, he personally promised to save her from the hands of the giant demon clan ancestor. Thinking about this, he quickly said to Wang Lin, "Master, that giant demon clan old bag of bones has a wheel-shaped treasure inside his bag, which has a soul sealed inside it. Once you kill that old bag of bones, you have to save that soul." Wang Lin nodded. He moved like lightning with the celestial sword in his hand as he chased after the giant demon clan ancestor. The giant demon clan ancestor continued to roar. Most of his anger came from Shu Liguo. In these past 2 years, he had treated Shu Liguo well, and even took out the sealed lust soul. But in the end, this Shu Liguo still defected. "Shu Liguo, this old man will definitely refine you alive." After the giant demon clan ancestor shouted this, he started moving even faster. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He raised his hand and swung down the celestial sword without any hesitation. A ray of sword energy suddenly shot out from the celestial sword. The giant demon clan ancestor dodged it and continued to escape. Soon, he arrived at the eastern edge of the giant demon clan. When he got here, he suddenly stopped and turned around. He slapped his bag of holding and a black stick appeared. He waved the stick, causing black flames to appear. Then the stick suddenly turned into a torch. Wang Lin, this place will be your graveyard. Your body will be used for my next possession. The giant demon clan ancestor shouted, and then he swung the torch in his hand. With a boom, the surrounding 10,000 feet suddenly became a sea of fire. Black flame beast! As he shouted, he stabbed the torch into the ground. Then he activated the celestial energy in his body and started to create seals, all of which were thrown at the torch. The black torch quickly started releasing a demonic light. All of the surrounding flames suddenly began to move mysteriously toward the torch. The flames gathered above the torch to form a beast over 100 feet tall. This beast had a big head, and its body was covered in flaming spikes. The beast kind of looked like a bear but didn't seem to be one. This black flame beast let out a roar as its fiery red eyes locked onto Wang Lin, and then it charged toward him. Wang Lin's eyes were calm. He swung the celestial sword, and a ray of sword energy hit the black flame beast. The black flame beast was knocked back, and a wound appeared on his chest. However, that wound quickly healed. Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding, and the restriction flag appeared in his hand. He waved the flag, and countless strands of restriction gas flew out. He softly said, "Seal!" The restriction gas transformed into many lances, all of which flew down on the black flame beast like a rain of lances. After a series of bangs, the lances landed all around the black flame beast and completely trapped it. Wang Lin pointed with his right hand and whispered, "Explode!" Boom! All of the lances exploded in one loud boom, creating a shockwave that spread out in all directions. As the shockwave approached Wang Lin, a soul flag flew out. This wasn't the 1 billion soul flag, but the 1,000 soul flag that Wang Lin had refined himself. However, with Li Yuanfeng as the primary soul of this soul flag, it had already become very powerful. With a shake of the flag, more than 1,000 soul fragments flew out with Li Yuanfeng's soul fragment at the front. This soul fragment had long had its memories wiped by Wang Lin. Now it was just a primary soul that accepted orders from the owner of the soul flag. Destroy! Wang Lin's eyes became cold. The 1,000+ soul fragments all let out ghostly wails. Under the command of Li Yuanfeng's soul fragment, the soul fragments all charged toward the black flame beast that had just escaped the shockwave. After doing all of this, Wang Lin looked at the giant demon clan ancestor. Wang Lin didn't believe that a soul transformation cultivator only had this small amount of techniques. The giant demon clan ancestor had to be hiding his ace. Also, there must have been a reason for the giant demon clan ancestor to stop here. The giant demon clan ancestor took a deep breath. Both of his hands formed a seal, and then a giant print appeared before him. With a roar, he pushed the giant print into the sky. The print quickly turned into countless smaller prints and disappeared. At the same time, the giant demon clan ancestor moved. He got down on both knees in the air and bowed to the sky. Then he shouted, "The giant demon clan's 67th generation clan member requests to retrieve the treasure left by our ancestor to resolve a calamity for my giant demon clan." The moment he finished speaking, the sky immediately darkened, and the ground began to shake across the entire giant demon clan. There was a mountain on the eastern border of the giant demon clan. This mountain was very tall and was in fact the tallest mountain in the country. From a distance, it looked like it pierced into the heavens. At this moment, the mountain split in half and a giant axe emitting a red glow flew out. The giant demon clan ancestor revealed a look of respect he had never shown before. He reached out, and the giant axe flew into his hand. In an instant, rays of red lightning came from the axe and covered the giant demon clan ancestor's body. A powerful aura never felt from the giant demon clan ancestor suddenly appeared. Wang Lin, back when my giant demon clan first moved to this planet, our founding ancestor used this axe to break into the immortal graveyard. While in there, he killed 2 9-leaf savages to earn the right for my giant demon clan to live here. Today, the founding ancestor is still missing, but the axe still remains here. Wang Lin looked at the red axe in the giant demon clan ancestor's hand. He couldn't help but think of the body that was buried under the corpse sect in Zhao. For now, just the first watch today. Leo will rest tonight and start catching up on the missed chapters tomorrow. Chapter 401 Zhao Wutai. The giant demon clan ancestor held the red axe in his hand. Right now his aura was completely different from before. It was as if he had become a different person just by holding this axe. Red gas came out of the axe and entered the body of the giant demon clan ancestor. The red gas could be seen coming out of his orifices. From a distance he looked extremely fierce. This red gas didn't stay around him. It was absorbed back by the axe, creating a cycle. The red gas would enter the ancestor's body and then come out to be reabsorbed by the axe. Every time this cycle completed once, the aura of the giant demon clan ancestor became stronger. He floated in the air and lowered his head to look at Wang Lin with a grin on his face. There were red lines gathered at where his left arm was cut up. These red lines slowly took the shape of a red arm. With a roar, he threw the axe with his right hand. Then the left hand, which was formed by the red gas, caught the axe. The moment he caught it, the axe released a bright, red glow. Wang Lin, accept your death. As the giant demon clan ancestor shouted, he stepped forward and swung the axe downwards. He moved very fast. In the blink of an eye, he arrived before Wang Lin as the axe descended. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He raised the celestial sword and then it collided with the red axe. Boom! A sound that could shatter the sky and earth and travel through the highest heavens could be heard the moment the collision occurred. Wang Lin could feel a powerful force from the axe. His body trembled as blood seeped out from his mouth and he quickly backed up. He backed up 1,000 feet. The giant demon clan ancestor coughed out a mouthful of blood, but his feet felt like they were rooted in place, so he didn't move at all. However, his body quickly shrank until it was 1/3 the size it was before. Although the current giant demon clan ancestor wasn't a bag of bones yet, he didn't look as strong as he did before. A roar came from the mouth of the giant demon clan ancestor. The current him was like a primal beast. His eyes were glowing red as he took a step forward and charged at Wang Lin with the red axe. Little child Wang Lin, die. The giant demon clan ancestor raised the axe and swung down again. As Wang Lin backed up, his eyes became cold, his hand formed a seal, and he said, "Honored soul flag." The sky darkened as if all the light had gathered before Wang Lin. A 30-foot-tall soul flag that was glowing bright like a flame in the darkness appeared in his hand. The flag's pole was 30 feet tall, but the flag itself was much larger. It was moving in the air without any wind, and there were 12 golden purple dots on it. The moment the flag appeared, countless ghostly wails came from the earth, like there were lingering ghosts letting out their resentful cries. Strands of black gas came from ground and began to flee in all directions. The sky was completely dark. It was as if black sand had covered the sky and the sun and moon had fallen. The giant demon clan ancestor's charge suddenly slowed down, and the red axe in his hand let out a loud buzzing sound. His red eyes revealed a hint of shock and a very well-hidden sign of terror. This is the soul refining sect. The giant demon clan ancestor took a deep breath. He seemed to recognize where the flag came from, but he couldn't believe it. After all, there was no way for the flag from his memories to appear in Wang Lin's hands. But at this moment, this flag looked exactly the same as the one in his memory, making it so he had to believe it. The 1 billion soul flag was used by Wang Lin for the first time. At this moment, at the border of the giant demon clan, the purple-robed woman who was still watching suddenly frowned. Du Tian kicked me out of the soul refining sect so he could pass the 1 billion soul flag to Wang Lin. Although this is only an illusion, it is not something the giant demon clan ancestor can resist. The purple-robed woman let out a sigh. She had been observing Wang Lin for a long time, and still wasn't able to find his Dao heart. She might be able to succeed if she uses a secret technique while he is passed out. Thinking about this, she took a step forward, and was about to head over when she suddenly stopped and turned around to look into the distance. A purple-robed burly man wearing a straw hat was walking over from that direction. His voice arrived before his body and said, "Lady Liu Mei, your opponent is me." The purple-robed woman looked at the burly man and whispered, "To have Marshal Uncle Yunke's straw hat means that you are one of the 4 candidates he selected. However, with your mere mid-stage soul formation cultivation, you cannot stop me." The burly man let out a laugh and said, "Lady Liu Mei's cultivation is too much for me, but I can just ignore Senior Yunke's order. How about you have a drink with me for a bit? Then I can leave and say I didn't disobey orders." The purple-robed woman moved a strand of hair behind her ear and let out a beautiful smile. "You are an interesting person. but you will have to wait for me to help the giant demon clan ancestor first. Then I'll have a drink with you." The burly man shook his head and smiled. "That's no good. Wang Lin is my friend. How could I let you leave?" The purple-robed woman let out a sigh. She looked at the burly man and said, "Leave. I don't want to hurt you." With that, she prepared to leave. The burly man sat down in the lotus position. His hand formed a seal, and his domain immediately appeared. Behind him, the image of a young man appeared, and looked at the burly man with deep admiration in his eyes. The purple-robed woman paused once more and looked back at the burly man. Behind her beauty was a very well-hidden ruthlessness. She whispered, "Emotion-cutting domain, no wonder you were chosen by martial uncle. What willpower, what a strong heart. To comprehend the emotion between master and disciple, you created an idea from intent, then used the idea to accept the disciple. To love the disciple as your son, to show kindness to gain gratitude, and to use the tragedy to enter the soul formation stage. Everything you did was to make yourself completely immersed in this master-disciple relationship. The day he finally comprehends his own domain and is about to break into the soul formation stage is the day where he must kill his own disciple. Not only must he kill his disciple whom he loves like a son, he can give him a quick death. He must slowly make his disciple suffer. Only then can the pain in his own heart grow enough for him to use this sadness to reach the soul formation stage. It looks to be filled with emotion, yet it is ruthless, but somewhere in there is still a hint of emotion. To reach the soul formation stage like this is definitely not something a normal person can achieve. Back then, when Wang Lin saw this person, he couldn't help but let out a sigh. It wasn't something he could do himself. Wang Lin held the 1 billion soul flag up, and then entered it with his origin soul. The flag began to move, and a howl that could pierce the high heavens came from inside it. Countless soul fragments came out from the soul flag following the lead of the 12 golden-purple soul transformation soul fragments. The giant demon clan ancestor's expression changed greatly. He never thought that Wang Lin would have this kind of treasure. He felt very bitter in his heart. If he knew that Wang Lin had this kind of treasure, then no matter what, he wouldn't have started the fight. Using his full power to escape would have been the best choice. However, now that things had reached this stage, he had no choice but to fight. If he were to retreat now, the only road left for him would be death, so he might as well go all out. A hint of madness appeared in the eyes of the giant demon clan ancestor. With a loud shout, he charged out once more. With speed even faster than before, he raised the axe and shouted, "Founding Ancestor's right arm, help me kill this person!" A bolt of lightning flashed across the sky. This lightning was red, and when it crossed the sky, the earth temporarily seemed to be dyed blood red. The giant demon clan ancestor was the person holding the lightning bolt, but compared it, he looked very small and insignificant. The red lightning bolt became the only thing left in the sky. As it descended, the shadow of the red axe could be seen inside the red lightning. Wang Lin looked at the red lightning before him. His eyes were calm as he pointed forward and said, "Soul flag devour!" The 1 billion soul fragments charged forth. As the red lightning descended, the 12 golden-purple soul fragments charged out. They were as powerful as 12 soul transformation cultivators. Their hands formed seals as they all worked together to activate a spell. Rays of golden light connected the 12 soul transformation soul fragments to form a net that trapped the red lightning within. At the same time, the 1 billion soul fragments around the net seemed to have received an order from the 12 primary soul fragments. They all charged toward the net from all directions, giving off an aura that felt like they could shatter the world. If one were to look from above, the 12 primary soul fragments formed a circle, and countless soul fragments surrounded the circle. At this moment, the countless soul fragments charged into the circle. Boom, boom, boom! As the soul fragments charged in, the heavens and earth shook. It was impossible to see what was going on inside. One could only occasionally hear the miserable screams of the giant demon clan ancestor. But just at this moment, a ray of red light cut an opening through the soul fragments. The giant demon clan ancestor, who now looked like a bag of bones without any sign of life, charged out holding the red axe. After he appeared, he immediately coughed out a large mouthful of blood. He gave Wang Lin a poisonous gaze and was about to escape, but he was still too late. The countless soul fragments once more charged forth. The 12 golden-purple primary souls let out eerie laughs and pounced at the giant demon clan ancestor once more. Not paying attention, this chapter quickly racks up 5,000 words. Does that qualify as a major chapter? Could it be wishing for the like button for the video? Chapter 402, The Ancestor Dies. The giant demon clan ancestor let out a wry smile. How could he resist the 1 billion soul flag that even ascendant cultivators dreaded? Although he had the founding ancestor S-axe, with his current cultivation level, he couldn't use its full power. His eyes lit up as he let out a roar, and he threw the axe at Wang Lin. The axe broke through all the soul fragments and closed in on Wang Lin in the blink of an eye. Wang Lin's eyes sparkled. He didn't show any sign of worry. When the axe got close, the celestial sword blocked it. Boom! More blood seeped out of Wang Lin's mouth, and he was forced back several tens of feet. The axe was knocked away and landed on the ground. The giant demon clan ancestor's face was pale, and his eyes were filled with madness. He shot Wang Lin a vicious look and took a deep breath. Then his origin soul shook and he shouted, "Bloodline power!" The reason he didn't use his bloodline power until now was because if he were to use it before he finished his possession, it would cause grave damage to his origin soul. It was very likely that his origin soul would collapse from using it, so it would be no different from suicide. Only when he completes the possession will he be able to use the bloodline safely, because a majority of the backlash will be absorbed by the body. Although some of it would still reach his origin soul, it was withstandable. Wang Lin's eyes were cold as he looked at the giant demon clan ancestor. He pointed at the soul flag, and even more soul fragments charged out. Wang Lin had to kill this giant demon clan ancestor who knew that he had the heaven-defying bead. He had to kill him no matter what. The entire sky seemed to be moved by a giant hand, and then a giant vortex suddenly appeared above the giant demon clan ancestor. This scene was exactly the same as when Wang Lin saw him use it against Sun Tai. At this moment, countless soul fragments covered the giant demon clan ancestor. They were all in the process of devouring him. The giant demon clan ancestor let out a sinister laugh. Turn! The giant vortex suddenly began to turn, and an unimaginable suction force appeared. The moment it appeared, some of the soul fragments around the giant demon clan ancestor let out miserable screams and were sucked in. Wang Lin felt the powerful suction force surround his body, and his body unwillingly flew toward the vortex. The giant demon clan ancestor shouted, "Wang Lin, this old man will risk my origin soul shattering to trap you in the void." There were countless soul fragments surrounding him, and the 12 soul transformation soul fragments had already entered his body and began to devour his origin soul. His flesh had already been sucked dry and his origin soul was damaged. Wang Lin's eyes were calm. As he was sucked into the vortex, he looked toward the giant demon clan ancestor and let out an intriguing smile. He whispered, "Devour!" The moment he said that, the soul fragments began to devour even faster. The giant demon clan ancestor let out several miserable groans before his origin soul was completely devoured. This generation's giant demon clan ancestor had died, but the bloodline power had already been activated and Wang Lin's body was dragged in. The moment his body entered the vortex, he reached out with his right hand and all the soul fragments quickly formed a chain to keep Wang Lin from being sucked in. Using the window of time the chain of soul fragments bought him, he activated the formation he had prepared ahead of time. As he felt the suction increase, he quickly recalled all the soul fragments, and of course he wouldn't forget the giant demon clan ancestor S-bag. Then the suction force increased even more and Wang Lin knew he couldn't resist it any longer. His eyes suddenly lit up as he looked at the giant axe 1,000 feet away. He reached out toward it, but a powerful force resisted his hold. Wang Lin let out a sound of surprise. At this moment, his body was being quickly dragged into vortex. Wang Lin raised his hand again and used all the spiritual energy in his body. "Collect!" he shouted. The axe resisted once more, but this time Wang Lin had a tight grip on it, and he dragged it toward him. The resisting power from the axe became even stronger. It was trying to break out of Wang Lin's grasp. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He pointed with his left hand, and a few golden-purple souls flew out to bring the axe back. At this point, half of Wang Lin's body was inside the vortex, and at the moment he was pulled completely into it, he finally managed to bring the axe over to him and put it into his bag. Then Wang Lin disappeared from planet Suzaku. Shortly after, the vortex faded away. There was only the giant demon clan ancestor's broken body left on the ground. From when he was forced to come out until the moment he died, he didn't get any chance to release the seals on his clan members. He could only watch as his clan fell from grace. Wang Lin's figure appeared in the void outside of planet Suzaku. His face was deathly pale without a trace of blood. What a powerful bloodline power! If the giant demon clan ancestor had reached the mid or late stage of soul transformation, the formation ancestor Dutian gave me wouldn't have been of any use at all. Wang Lin pondered a bit before slapping his bag of holding to bring out the star compass. He controlled the star compass to fly toward planet Suzaku. Li Yuanfeng and the giant demon clan ancestor are both dead. News of this should quickly spread across planet Suzaku. Right now the most important matter is to help Wan Er get through the second arrival of the Heaven's Messenger. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and the star compass flew even faster. Half a month later, planet Suzaku appeared in his view. From here, planet Suzaku really did look very small. Next to it was an even smaller planet. This was where Wang Lin was accidentally transported to on his way back from the celestial realm. Wang Lin pondered a bit, then he steered the star compass toward that small planet. The star compass flew toward the small planet like a meteor. After he entered its atmosphere, he saw a mountain range below him. The star compass lost its effect in the sky, so Wang Lin jumped off of it and put it away. Then he moved like lightning. He disappeared as soon as he moved, and when he reappeared, he was already 5,000 kilometers away. The spiritual energy here was much weaker than on planet Suzaku. It was also very impure, making it unsuitable for cultivators to absorb. Wang Lin moved like he was very familiar with the surroundings. After a day, he arrived before a tall mountain. With a scan of his divine sense, he found a transfer array on the peak of the mountain. The formation is still here. Wang Lin stood before the ancient transfer array. He looked down at it and began to ponder. Back when he was teleported here from the celestial realm, he appeared in this transfer array, and it was also this transfer array that sent him home. I killed Li Yuanfeng and the giant demon clan ancestor, so it must have caught some attention. I might as well spend a few years here cultivating and then quietly I'll go back. With that, Wang Lin sat down cross-legged and his avatar and original body split. The original body sunk into the ground. This planet was only 1/10 the size of planet Suzaku, so, with the body of a 3-star ancient god, Wang Lin could withstand the pressure at the center. He sat down in the middle of the magma and began to cultivate. Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding, and a ray of red light flew out, turning into a giant axe before him. This axe was glowing red and it released a powerful killing intent. Wang Lin pondered a bit before trying to use his divine sense to leave a mark on it. Just then, a powerful force that resided inside the axe bounced Wang Lin's divine sense away. Interesting. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as his hand formed a seal and his origin soul left his body. He looked at the red axe and sucked. The red axe trembled before it turned into a ray of red light and was swallowed by Wang Lin's origin soul. There were now 2 items inside Wang Lin's origin soul. One was the 1 billion soul flag, and the other was the red axe. His origin soul returned to his body. There must be an axe spirit inside the axe. I want to force it out, but I'll suppress it with the 1 billion soul flag and refine it with my origin soul. I want to see how long the axe spirit can last. Wang Li sneered as he took out a bag. This bag of holding belonged to the giant demon clan ancestor. He touched it to imprint his own divine sense onto the bag, and then the objects inside quickly appeared in his mind. The giant demon clan ancestor had a lot of good stuff inside his bag. There were several dozen celestial jades and even top-quality spirit stones. There were naturally some treasures as well, and although they were powerful, they weren't anything noteworthy. After all, for the giant demon clan, their bodies were their best weapons, so treasures weren't used much. However, there were 2 items that caught Wang Lin's attention. One of them was a half-empty red jade bottle that contained some blood-like liquid. Wang Lin smelled the liquid and confirmed that it was indeed blood. When he saw the blood, he had a feeling that he had seen it before. Wang Lin pondered a bit while holding the bottle and then suddenly remembered. When he was exterminating the Tang family, he had found a similar bottle on Tang 1. This blood contains a hint of the bloodline of the ancient gods. Back then I used the bottle to activate an ability of the ancient god. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Although my original body became an ancient god from practicing the ancient god tactic, It was completely based on my own cultivation. Back then, I only obtained the inheritance of knowledge and not power, so there are some abilities I can use. This is a very useful thing for me whether I let my original body absorb it or use it to use an ability. No matter how big the price of this fight was, just getting this was worth it. Wang Lin took a deep breath and carefully put the small bottle into his bag of holding. Here comes another 4,000 words in a major chapter. Leo doesn't make empty promises. Could it now be time to wish for the like button for the video? Chapter 403 Meiji. The other thing that caught Wang Lin's attention was a wheel-shaped treasure. This wheel wasn't too large. It was only about 1 inch in radius. The wheel was extremely plain without any decorations or shine. There were even signs of rust on it. The reason Wang Lin was interested in it was because Shu Liguo told him that there was a soul sealed inside it and begged him to release the soul. Shu Liguo's words made Wang Lin be on guard. He understood Shu Liguo very well because in a way Shu Liguo was created by him. Shu Liguo had the intelligence that wandering souls lacked. The fact that he was a nascent soul cultivator turned into a wandering soul had a big part in this. After that, Shu Liguo's intelligence slowly recovered until he became the devil sword spirit he was now. Shu Liguo's personality was that of a scaredy cat, but at the same time he was also very proud. Overall, this made him a very complex devil. For him to beg Wang Lin so much to release the soul made Wang Lin cautious. Interesting. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. After pondering a bit, he was able to guess what happened. The giant demon clan ancestor must have used the soul inside the wheel to tempt Shu Liguo. This was why Shu Liguo was still thinking about it even after returning to him. After looking at the wheel for a bit, he took out the celestial sword. The moment the celestial sword appeared, Shu Liguo appeared as well. He let out a howl as he stared at the wheel with glowing eyes. Shu Liguo quickly said, "Master, this is the treasure wheel. There is a soul inside it. Quickly release her." Wang Lin calmly asked, "How do you know about the soul inside this treasure wheel?" The giant demon clan ancestor called her out, "Master, quickly release her." Shu Liguo's expression became very anxious. Wang Lin looked at Shu Liguo and asked, "What cultivation level does this soul have?" The anxiety on Shu Liguo's became even stronger. It was like he could hear the little sister fairy calling out to him to save her. He became very impatient and said, "There is no cultivation level, it's just a soul fragment. If you were not going to save her, I'll do it myself." Shu Liguo didn't even realize that after seeing the wheel, his fear of Wang Lin disappeared and his tone unconsciously changed. Wang Lin's eyes faintly lit up and he smiled. "Don't rush, I'll release the soul for you now." With that, Wang Lin's hand formed a seal and shot out a ray of spiritual energy into the wheel. However, the treasure wheel released a green glow and quickly dissolved the ray of spiritual energy. Wang Lin let out a surprised sound and then looked more closely at the treasure wheel. Before, nothing about the wheel had caught his attention, but now that it was able to emit a green glow that neutralized his spiritual energy, it had his full attention. When the green light lit up, Wang Lin felt no spiritual energy fluctuations from the wheel. He pondered a bit before sending out another ray of spiritual energy. His eyes remained calm. A strange symbol the size of a thumbnail quickly appeared, then disappeared. The green glow then appeared once more to dissolve the spiritual energy. Interesting. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Shu Liguo had reached his limit. Without a word, he charged out from the celestial sword toward the treasure wheel. Wang Lin shot Shu Liguo a cold look. Shu Liguo's actions were too strange. There was something off. He noticed that the moment Shu Liguo got close to the treasure wheel, the strange symbol appeared once more. The green glow appeared again, and then Shu Liguo let out a miserable groan as he was knocked back 10 feet. His eyes were bloodshot. He let out a roar and was about to try again when Wang Lin pointed at him and locked him in midair. Shu Liguo turned around toward Wang Lin and shouted, "What are you doing?" "Let me go. I am going to release her." Wang Lin coldly looked at Shu Liguo. Shu Liguo's body trembled and seemed to regain a trace of clarity. He looked terrifyingly at the treasure wheel and said, Master, please don't blame me. Every time I see the treasure wheel, I become unable to control myself." Wang Lin ignored Shu Liguo and then grabbed the treasure wheel. His left thumb pressed down on where the strange symbol was. The moment he did so, the strange symbol appeared and began to rapidly flash as the wheel released a green glow. Wang Lin let out a groan, but he kept on pressing down like he was breaking through countless barriers until he directly touched the treasure wheel. Then, along with a series of crackling sounds, countless cracks appeared and covered the treasure wheel. With a bang, the treasure wheel shattered into pieces. In an instant, a blinding red light charged out from the shattered wheel. A crisp laughter that was filled with enough demonic power to shake anyone's heart came from the red light. This sound was filled with a mysterious power. The power that was holding Shu Liguo in place seemed to have melted like ice that had met the blazing sun. Soon, Shu Liguo regained his freedom. His eyes were filled with desire as he quickly flew toward the red light. The red light turned into a very enchanting woman. She was only wearing a thin layer of clothing that revealed a lot of skin. She glanced at Shu Liguo and smiled. "Elder brother Shu, little sister has waited for a long time. Why did you only save me now?" With that, she raised her delicate hand and pointed at Shu Liguo. Her expression made it look like she was flirting with her lover. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. When the woman appeared, even his heart was affected. Luckily, he had cultivated the soul sealing technique, which linked his soul to the 1 billion soul flag, allowing him to quickly recover. But just this caused him to be shocked. If he was distracted like that during a fight, he would be put in a dire position. "You dare to use such a demonic technique before me?" Wang Lin let out a cold snort. This sound entered Shu Liguo and the woman's ears and echoed like thunder. Shu Liguo's body trembled and his eyes immediately became clear. He was already a devil, so after being called out twice by Wang Lin, he realized what was wrong. Terrified, he quickly backed up. The woman turned around and stared at Wang for a bit before letting out a beautiful smile. At this moment, everything else dimmed and her smile was the only thing remaining. The woman's eyelashes slightly trembled and she whispered, as if she were complaining, "What a vicious person. It's not like I meant to offend you." Her voice contained a mysterious power. When it landed in Wang Lin's ears, his heart trembled once more. Shu Liguo's body trembled, and the clarity in his eyes disappeared only to be filled with desire once more. The woman let out a proud smile and flew toward Wang Lin. She arrived before him and reached for his forehead. However, just at this moment, Wang Lin's eyes became clear and there was a hint of disdain in them. The woman exclaimed. She realized that something was wrong and tried to back away. However, Wang Lin took out the soul flag and along with Li Yuanfeng, over 1,000 soul fragments charged out. The woman exclaimed once more and backed up without any hesitation. Li Yuanfeng's soul fragment quickly charged out and surrounded the woman with the other soul fragments. Just as they were about to devour her, a mysterious power came from her eyes and she smiled. "Big brothers, why must you all be like this? I'm not your enemy." With just one sound, even Li Yuanfeng's soul fragment was startled and his eyes filled with confusion. The other soul fragments looked even worse as they stared dumbfoundedly at the woman. "He bullied me. Help me kill him, please. After killing him, I'll spend some time with you." All the woman's cheeks blushed. With that, Li Yuanfeng's soul fragment trembled and along with the other soul fragments charged toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression remained calm. He didn't even look at the soul fragments and pointed behind him. Shu Liguo had also fallen under the woman's lure and was about to sneak attack Wang Lin but was injured before he could. The black gas around him quickly dissipated and he quickly backed away. His eyes regained their clarity. This time it was his fear of Wang Lin that won over the woman's charm. He secretly cursed in his heart. Why did he attack this fiend? Great, now all the credit he had earned from killing the giant demon clan ancestor was gone. The more Shu Liguo thought about it, the more angry he became, so he shouted at the woman, "Wretch, it's all your fault for charming me." She revealed a sad expression and was about to speak when Li Yuanfeng's soul fragment along with the other soul fragments arrived before Wang Lin. Wang Lin pointed with his right hand and all the soul fragments let out miserable groans. Along with Li Yuanfeng's soul fragment, all of them scattered. "Enough! You come here!" Wang Lin reached out. The woman exclaimed and tried to dodge, but she was caught by Wang Lin and brought before him. After carefully looking at the woman, he was able to see through her secret. Inside the soul fragment was a domain. This domain was very strong and could charm a myriad of things in the world. A soul fragment with a domain interesting. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. "What is your name?" The woman struggled for a long time. She was breathing hard as she charmingly said, "I didn't even offend you. Why aren't you letting go?" Her charming breathing carried a hint of her charm. Wang Lin coldly looked at the woman and pointed at her brow. She revealed a painful expression and soon began to scream. Strands of black gas came out from her body as if she could dissipate at any moment. "Meiji, my name is Meiji," the woman quickly said, as she looked at Wang Lin with terror in her eyes. At 36, Leo is still getting wisdom teeth, in pain for many days, with swollen jaws, frustrated, and they're not even breaking through yet. Counting them, there are 3 or 4 wisdom teeth not yet emerged. Chapter 404, Zhou Ru. After she gained sentience, everyone she had met was charmed by her. Even the giant demon clan ancestor was charmed. Although he managed to break free from her in the end, he was never able to do anything malicious to her, so he only sealed her away. After she was sealed, she was still looking for a way to escape the giant demon clan ancestor. One day she met Shu Liguo. She easily charmed Shu Liguo, and he did good by finally saving her. However, she never would be imagined that there would be a man like this. Not only was all her charm useless against him, but he could even bear to harm her. What is the matter with that domain in your body? Wang Lin wasn't affected by her charm because of his life experience and his cultivation of the soul-sealing technique. In his 500 years of cultivation, Wang Lin had never been with a woman, so his heart was much more determined than the giant demon clan ancestor S. At the same time, the soul-sealing technique was the most revered technique in the soul-refining sect. Aside from controlling the 1 billion soul flag, its other use was to make it impossible for his soul to be affected by anything. It was because of this that he could control the 1 billion soul fragments and not suffer the backlash. The woman looked at Wang Lin in terror. No longer daring to use her domain, she said, "I don't know how it came to be. When I woke up, the domain was already there." Wang Lin pondered a bit. This woman's cultivation level was only at the core formation stage, but her domain was powerful enough to affect someone like Li Yuanfeng. This made matters very strange. This woman must have been formed when a part of a powerful senior S-origin soul split off. The result was this soul fragment. That would explain why it has such a powerful domain. This domain should be related to charm or lust. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. His hand formed a seal to place a restriction on the woman, and then he put her inside the soul flag. Shu Liguo immediately let out a smile and carefully said, "Master, this if there is nothing else, I'll head back first." With that, he went back into the celestial sword and didn't dare to come out. Wang Lin found it very funny, and no longer bothered with Shu Liguo. He slapped his bag of holding, causing the pagoda to fly out and become large next to him. Zhou Yi's domain immediately spread out and surround everything within 50 kilometers. The moment the pagoda appeared, Zhou Ru quickly ran out. After seeing Wang Lin, she immediately pouted and said, "Bad uncle, you are a bad uncle. I don't like you anymore." Little White came out next to Zhou Ru with his head down and lied down next to her. Although it was hard to notice because he was covered in fur, it wouldn't be wrong to describe him as completely famished. "I am a demonic tiger, yet I had to eat fruit for months. Not only that, but I couldn't eat my fill and only ate 1 fruit a day. I couldn't even smell any meat." How sad Little White let out a pitiful growl and tears almost fell from his eyes. There were several occasions where he wanted to eat Zhou Ru, but he couldn't help but think of how Wang Lin would deal with him if he did, so he gave up on the idea. More importantly, as time passed, he could feel a terrifying power slowly growing inside Zhou Ru. He was worried that before he even started eating her, this little brat would eat him instead. "Bad uncle, look at how thin Little White is. We had to eat fruit for months." She looked at Wang Lin with eyes filled with dissatisfaction. Not just Little White, but even she herself had gotten a lot thinner. Wang Lin rubbed his nose. He had indeed forgotten about this matter. After all, he hadn't needed to eat in 400 years, so he forgot that Zhou Ru still needed food. Luckily, when he sent Zhou Ru into the pagoda, he gave her a lot of spirit fruits as snacks. Also, the celestial spiritual energy inside the tower was very thick. As long as one didn't directly absorb it, it could still make them not need to eat. Wang Lin's forehead was covered in sweat. Even when he faced soul transformation old monsters, he didn't feel this awkward or embarrassed. After hearing Zhou Ru's words, he could only bitterly smile. It's his uncle's fault. I definitely won't forget next time," Wang Lin quickly promised. Zhou Ru rolled her eyes and pouted. Uncle S promises never count. Last time you promised me a big tiger and that never came true. I want to believe you this time. Wang Lin wryly smiled. Okay, little Zhou, Uncle will bring you to catch a big tiger. I think that there should be some demonic beasts here. Zhou was a child after all, so when she heard this, she immediately smiled and clapped her hands. Uncle has to keep his promise this time. Let us go right now. Wang Lin revealed a gentle look as he rubbed Zhou's head and smiled. Let us go now. Zhou quickly nodded. She pondered for a bit and then said, Uncle, I don't know why, but every day I would dream. In my dreams, I would see a big sister with you. That big sister looked very familiar. So strange. Wang Lin's heart trembled. He lowered his head and looked at Zhou. After a while, he let out a sigh and looked into the sky. Wan Air, only 6 more years and you can awaken. Zhou looked at Wang Lin, and then a faint and undetectable trace of fear appeared in her eyes. Zhou whispered, Uncle, little Ru Air is a monster. Little White was lying on the side. When he heard this, he quickly nodded and thought, Indeed, you are a little monster. How else would a demonic tiger such as myself be bullied by you? I was forced to leave the mountain and leave behind all my female tigers, alas. Wang Lin was startled. He looked down and rubbed Zhou's head as he whispered, Little Ru Air, what is wrong? Tears fell from Zhou's eyes as she began to cry. Little Ru Air is a monster. Uncle, little Ru Air is a monster. In fact, about a year ago, I could feel a little person inside me. Uncle, I am scared. Wang Lin stared at Zhou. He wasn't able to say anything for a very long time before he finally said, Little Ru Air isn't a monster. She isn't. Zhou jumped into Wang Lin's embrace. She grabbed onto his clothes and said, Uncle, I can feel that the little person in my body is like the big sister in my dream. She is that little person. Uncle, little Ru Air is scared. Can you take her out? Her little hand firmly gripped Wang Lin's clothes as if Wang Lin would disappear. She let go. She was scared, and this was the only way for her to feel safe. Wang Lin's body trembled. At this moment, he felt like he had been struck by lightning. Why did it turn out like this? Wang Lin muttered to himself, as his eyes were filled with complex emotions. Back then, Li Muan's nascent soul was placed into the pregnant woman by Wang Lin. This was a type of possession, but the baby had no soul yet and was only a mass of flesh. In principle, Li Muan was Zhou and Zhou was Li Muan. So why was this situation of Zhou rejecting Li Muan happening? Could it be that when Li Muan's nascent soul entered the pregnant lady's stomach, the baby had already developed its own soul? Wang Lin's body trembled. He was fighting the heaven's messenger back then, so he wasn't able to take a closer look. If this is true, then Li Muan's nascent soul will slowly devour Zhou's soul, and she will completely replace Zhou as the owner of the body when she wakes up. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with confusion. Zhou raised her head. Her eyes were filled with tears as she whispered, Uncle, little Ru Air is scared. Can you quickly take her out, please? Did I do the wrong thing? Wang Lin looked at Zhou. He felt pain in his heart. Little Ru Air, don't be scared. Just pretend that the little person inside you is your big sister. Don't worry. Wang Lin smiled while watching Zhou. His smile was filled with complex emotions. Really? Uncle, isn't he lying to me? Zhou's big eyes revealed naivety, purity, and innocence. In addition, Wang Lin could also see a deep sense of attachment and trust in her eyes. Really, the pain in Wang Lin's heart intensified. Wang Lin knew the choice he had to make, but in life, choosing one life sometimes means giving up another. Why it is like this? Wang Lin's eyes were filled with pain. Although Zhou was little, she was a very sensitive person. She looked at Wang Lin before burying her little head in his chest and said, Uncle, Dante feel bad. When Uncle feels bad, I feel bad as well. In the future, I want to talk about this matter. I believe that if Uncle says it's not a problem, then it's not a problem. Uncle, when you going to take me to catch a big tiger? Wang Lin looked at Zhou. He nodded as he wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes and said, Uncle will take you to catch a big tiger. With that, he hugged Zhou and flew into the air. Zhou smiled, but this smile was like a silent cry in Wang Lin's eyes. Uncle, bring Little White. Little White has been naughty. Once Uncle catches me a big tiger, I'll see if Little White continues to be naughty. If he continues, I'll have the big tiger bite Little White. Little White's body trembled as he let out a pitiful cry and thought, I am a demonic tiger. Before he could finish, he was grabbed by Wang Lin and disappeared along with them. As they flew, Joru's eyes were still on Wang Lin. She held back her tears and thought silently in her heart, Uncle, little Ru is already 13 years old. There are some things I already understand. You are different from Grandpa Taiyan. When you look at me, you aren't looking at me, but at the little person inside me. Grandpa Taiyan wasn't the same. What he looked at was me. I know that when you saved me from that bad cultivator, it wasn't for me, but for the big sister inside me. The big sister I saw in my dreams is very pretty, but I believe that when I grow up, I'll be even prettier. So Uncle, don't leave me. Leo has caught a cold, his nose running like a leaky faucet, making it unlikely he'll make it home tomorrow. Trying hard to ensure a new update, but lacking the energy, longing for the like button for the video. Chapter 405, Little White. There wasn't much vegetation on this moon, but there were a lot of mountains. There were no mortals on this planet, and there were very few cultivators. After all, there weren't many cultivators who could break through the planet's atmosphere. They would have to be at least at the soul transformation stage to do so. Even then, they would still need a star compass, or they would find it very hard to navigate their way through the void. Wang Lin carried Joru and Little White as they flew across the sky. There were many large mountains under them, causing Joru to often exclaim out loud. At a forest in the northern part of the moon, Wang Lin caught Joru a big tiger. This tiger was completely purple and 30 feet long. It gave off a very oppressive aura. However, what Wang Lin found very weird was that this tiger had no intelligence. It was far from being as smart as Little White. But there was a mysterious force inside it. With one roar, it could send the sand around it flying, and with one pounce, it could break metal. Its power wasn't much weaker than a late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator S. Wang Lin easily dealt with the tiger. He left an imprint on the tiger's soul, making Joru its master. After it couldn't possibly turn on Joru, Wang Lin gave it to her as a gift. Joru's love for this tiger immediately reached the same level as her love for Little White. In the future, let us call you Little Violet, Joru said, as she sat on Little Violet's back and happily clapped her hands. Little White was beside them with his head down. He felt disdain toward the purple tiger. He was a proper demonic tiger. How could this lump compare to him? Thinking about this, he lazily roared at the purple tiger. However, he didn't think that the purple tiger would turn its head toward him and let out a roar in retaliation. This roar was filled with power. It was as if it could shatter the heavens. Little White howled as every hair on his body stood up and he backed up dozens of feet. He stared at the purple tiger in fear and no longer dared to move up. This made Joru clap her hands in joy. She said, Little White, you can beat Little Violet. Wang Lin watched Joru's happy face and began to ponder. Strictly speaking, Wang Lin didn't care too much about Joru. At most, he felt like a parent watching their child after spending so much time with her. The only thing he cared about in the end was Li Muan. The day Li Muan's nascent soul wakes up is the day Joru's soul will be devoured. There was no chance for both of them to survive. If he were to take out Li Muan's nascent soul early, it would save Joru, but that would make it almost impossible for Li Muan to escape death. After all, Li Muan's nascent soul was in a deep slumber and was still recovering. If it were taken out now, it would disappear. Wang Lin understood who was more important in his heart. There was no hesitation there. However, to sacrifice this child's life just for his own selfish desire for Li Muan to awaken caused Wang Lin's heart to struggle. Although he had killed countless people in his life, he was able to face himself in the heavens after he killed them. Although he was a demon, he wasn't a demon that lost its humanity. Spring passed, and autumn came. In the blink of an eye, 2 years passed. Joru was now 15 years old. There were still 4 years until Li Muan awakens. In these past 2 years, Joru slowly grew and bloomed into a lovely girl. The amount of times Li Muan appeared in her dreams greatly increased. Wang Lin spent these past 2 years cultivating. Throughout this time, the bitterness in his heart became stronger and stronger. Choosing Li Muan was a must. However, how he would ensure this child's life when Li Muan awakened was a question he was still mulling over. Joru became more and more quiet in these past 2 years. She would often sit on little Violet's back with little White behind them and stare at the sky. Zhou whispered, "Little White, I can feel the big sister inside me slowly awaken. When she finally wakes up, I'll be gone. After I am gone, you must be good, little White. I'll ask Uncle to take you back home. Little White, after I leave, will you think of me?" Little White raised his head to look at Zhou. His eyes were filled with complex feelings. Although Zhou would often bully him, in truth, he could feel that Zhou really loved him. When little Violet would bully him, Zhou would side with him and scold little Violet. Little White kept all of this in his heart. Although he was a demonic tiger, his heart felt bitter as he looked at Zhou and nodded his big head. Zhou faintly smiled. She jumped off little Violet and arrived next to little White. She rubbed his fur and said, "Little White, after I am gone, do you think Uncle will think of me?" Little White let out a soft growl and looked at Zhou. Zhou rubbed little White's fur and felt depressed. She looked at the figure sitting on the mountain in the distance, and quietly though, in her heart, "Uncle, little Ru understands. Even now, whenever you look at me, you are looking at the big sister and not at me. She must be very important to you. Little Ru knows what to do." Zhou's eyes became watery as she looked over at the big and dumb little Violet and whispered, "Little Violet, once I am gone, you will be free." Wang Lin was sitting at the top of the mountain. Although he looked like he was cultivating, he was actually just staring at the sky. Wang Lin pondered. "The heavens will I, Wang Lin, have always resisted the heavens' will, but I was still played by it this time." Zhou's call came from below. Uncle, can you come down?" Wang Lin lowered his head and looked at Zhou with a complex expression. He'd jump off the mountain and landed next to her. "Uncle, sit down. Little Ru wants to brush your hair." Zhou revealed an innocent smile. She was holding a wooden brush that Tai Yan had gifted her. She didn't wait for Wang Lin to answer before she dragged him to a big rock. After having Wang Lin sit down, she went behind him and began to carefully brush his hair. Her expression was very serious. After a while she said, "Uncle, can you tell little Ru stories of you and big sister?" Wang Lin pondered. After a long time, he slowly nodded. A story came from his mouth and landed in Zhou's ears. She brushed his hair as she listened, and her body would occasionally tremble as if she had understood something. Zhou put down the wooden brush and whispered, "Uncle, if I die early, does that mean big sister won't be able to wake up?" Wang Lin turned around to look at Zhou. What he saw was a hint of unfamiliarity in her. Zhou raised her head to look at Wang Lin. Her eyes were filled with sadness as she whispered, "Uncle, in your eyes, is little Ru only a body for big sister Wan to wake up in? Ever since I was small, I considered you my family. My uncle, when you look at me, I want you to see the real me and not big sister Wan, even if only once." Wang Lin looked at Zhou. After pondering for a bit, he said, "Little Ru you are tired. Go rest." With that, he turned around and disappeared. The wooden brush in Zhou's hand fell to the ground. She squatted down on the ground and began to cry. 2 streams of tears flowed down from the corners of her eyes. While Zhou cried, she muttered, "Uncle, I am scared." Wang Lin's figure appeared in the distance and slightly trembled. The complex emotions in his eyes became even stronger. "Wan if it was you, how would you choose?" Little White went missing. He went missing without a sound, but Wang Lin saw that he had quietly left in the middle of the night. Zhou became very sad over Little White leaving and became very sick. While she slept due to her illness, she could often call out to Little White. Although she often bullied Little White, he held a very important place in her heart. Although she had little Violet now, Little White was still very important to her. Little White was her friend, her only friend. However, when Wang Lin was going to get Little White back, she stopped him. She begged Wang Lin and whispered, "If Little White wants to leave, it is his choice. He should have the right to choose. He is more fortunate than little Zhou don't go looking for him." Wang Lin's heart felt very painful as he walked away in silence. He thought about what to do 4 years from now to save both of them and came up with a plan. "Uncle doesn't want me anymore. Little White, you also left 1 month later. Zhou's illness had gotten better. But she was even quieter than before and would often be in a daze looking into the distance. One morning 2 months later, a tired but excited roar could be heard. Little White appeared in Zhou's vision and with a few jumps arrived next to her. In his mouth was a fire-red tree branch with a fruit attached to it. Little White returned. Joru looked at Little White. She was very happy and angry at the same time. Little White, you didn't abandon me. Little White Joru hugged Little White. As tears rolled down her cheeks, she revealed a happy smile. Little White was skinny now, and his fur was no longer neat. There were clear signs of injuries on his body, and he was no longer as fierce. Instead, he looked very tired. There was even a deep wound on his stomach. Although that wound was already sealed, there was still some blood on his fur. Little White put down the branch on the ground and licked Joru. Then he carefully looked around to make sure that Wang Lin wasn't around. He pulled Joru's clothes and then touched the fruit on the ground. Little White, what are you? Joru was startled as she picked up the fruit on the ground. Little White looked around and became very anxious. He let out a few growls, telling Joru to quickly eat it. Little White, you want me to eat this? Joru had been with Little White for a long time, so she was able to immediately tell what he meant. Little White quickly nodded and his eyes were anxious again. Joru picked up the fruit and whispered, Little White, what fruit is this? Wang Lin's voice floated in from the distance. He said, that is a nascent soul-shattering fruit. All the hair on Little White's body stood straight up. He quickly jumped to block Joru from Wang Lin and began to growl. Leo has a cold, with a sore throat and a bit of dizziness, not daring to promise if there will be a third watch today, doing his utmost to get through. Chapter 406, Shocking Change. Wang Lin slowly walked over from where he was. He immediately noticed when Little White returned and saw the fruit he was carrying. What a good demonic tiger, sacrificing yourself for your master. Wang Lin looked at Little White. Fear appeared in Little White's eyes, but he still stood before Joru and growled. Joru rubbed Little White's fur and asked, Uncle, what is a nascent soul-shattering fruit? Wang Lin slowly said, after you eat the fruit, although one ear, who is inside you, one die, she will become very weak. Joru was startled. She lowered her head to look at Little White and whispered, Little White, so you went to look for this fruit for me when you left. She let out a sigh and threw the fruit to the side. The fruit rolled a few times before falling down a cliff. Joru raised her head and looked at Wang Lin. Uncle, Dante hurt Little White, okay? Wang Lin looked at Joru. He nodded and then left. Joru bit her lower lip as she looked at Wang Lin's back. That figure was so unfamiliar. Joru exclaimed, Uncle, you can relax. Joru knows what to do to allow you and big sister Wan Er to reunite. Wang Lin's body paused. He pondered a bit before continuing to walk away. Another 2 years quickly passed by. On this day, a thick mass of black fog erupted from the giant hole that led to the immortal graveyard. This black fog pierced into the sky. The fog turned into a very strange plant with very large leaves. There were countless tattoos on the plant, and it gave off a strange aura. Just at this moment, a golden light appeared in the sky. Inside the golden light were the illusions of 5 glowing flying swords. The moment the golden light appeared, it turned into a net and covered the plant. After a series of rumbling sounds, it forcibly suppressed the plant. My clan has been hiding for tens of thousands of years, but today, no one will stop my clan from taking back planet Fu Wen. An ancient voice said, from deep within the immortal graveyard, and then a very ancient-looking old man walked out from the hole. There weren't any tattoos on the old man's body, but if one looked closely, there was a plant flashing on his forehead. Upon closer inspection, there were 11 leaves on that plant. No! After another closer look, there was another leaf under the 11 leaves. Although it was not completely open, it was opened 1/3 of the way. The moment the old man walked out from the hole, the 5 swords in the sky all hummed in unison. 2 of the swords left the golden net and charged toward the old man. The old man's expression was calm as he whispered, the country of Suzaku's first-generation Suzaku sacrificed himself along with 9 mid-stage ascendant cultivators to create these 5 swords to seal my forsaken immortal clan for tens of thousands of years. Today I can do the same thing by sacrificing myself to free my forsaken immortal clan. Absorb. He pointed forward with his right hand, and a giant tattoo appeared before him. This tattoo let out a primal aura and immediately began to spread. Those 2 flying swords began to tremble. Then they managed to break free from the power of the tattoo and quickly backed away. Return. The old man's eyes were calm. It was as if he had seen through everything. He waved his right hand, and then a heaven-shattering roar came from the sky. Countless tattoos appeared in the air soon after. They interlocked with each other to create a tattoo that looked like it could split the heavens. The two flying swords stopped struggling and flew toward the old man like lightning. Bang, bang. Two bangs that echoed across the entire planet could be heard as the two swords stabbed into the old man's chest. They were struggling to escape, but couldn't. Back then, this old man was but a coward who had to watch countless clan members die. Although I lived, my heart died back then. The old man pointed at the golden net in the sky. Two more flying swords quickly flew toward him. Although they struggled, it was to avail. They were controlled by the old man to stab into his chest as well. It has been tens of thousands of years, and I was originally supposed to be dead. But my clan regarded me as their founding ancestor. They fed me my own clan's tattoos to keep me alive. I survived on the lives of my own clan members. I am a sinner of my clan. The old man looked at the last flying sword in the golden net. He took a deep breath and reached out. Then the final golden sword suddenly began to struggle. But it seemed like the golden sword didn't have enough power to resist. After a while, it charged out from the golden net and stabbed toward the old man. This old man is a sinner of the Forsaken Immortal clan who deserves to die. Today this old man broke through the 11-leaf stage, and my 12th leaf has started to open, placing me a level above what the cultivators call ascendant. However, this old man's talent is limited, so I wasn't able to fully absorb the power to truly take that last step. I am a disgrace to the ancestors, and I am not worthy of all the clan members who died to keep me alive. The last flying sword rushed over and stabbed the old man right between the eyes. The old man's eyes slowly dimmed. This old man is a sinner, but my death will allow my clan to return to the surface. Allow me to be sealed in place of the Forsaken Immortal tree. With my soul as a sacrifice, my clan can reappear. At that moment, the light in the old man's eyes went out and his hands reached out to tear open the sky. A sound that reverberated through the entire planet could be heard as the golden net was split in half. The giant plant that was suppressed by the golden net immediately charged out and became like a pillar holding up the heavens. At the same time, the countless tattoos surrounding the area shattered and disappeared. The old man's body slowly merged with the giant plant and disappeared. At this moment, the Forsaken Immortal clan members came out of the hole one by one. More and more of them came out, and every single one of them bowed deeply toward the plant. Among those Forsaken Immortal clan members was a woman who was wearing a veil. Her eyes underneath the veil were calm. I hope you aren't lying to me. I want that Qianfeng to die without a grave. 50 kilometers away, a burly man wearing a straw hat looked at the giant plant and muttered, I hope you didn't lie to me. I want the Four-Sect Alliance to return. Kill! A roar that could pierce the heavens came from the immortal graveyard. This wasn't a roar from one person but from all the Forsaken Immortal clan members. This roar traveled through the high heavens and echoed across the land. At this moment, an angry roar came from the cave Xianxia was cultivating in at the top of Mount Suzaku. The roar caused the cave to explode, leaving behind only dust. Xianxia, who was wearing a red robe, appeared from the void. He looked at the direction of the immortal graveyard with a very ugly expression. Damn remnants of the Forsaken Immortal clan. You guys are courting death. Xianxia reached out and all the clouds seemed to gather in his hand. Soon, a white token formed from the clouds appeared in his palm. He slapped it with his left hand and the token split into 2, then to 4 and so on. I am calling all cultivation countries as the Thea generation Suzaku. The second war with the Forsaken Immortal clan begins. The cloud tokens quickly disappeared. Then the old man walked out of his long years of closed-door cultivation in the Heavenly Jade sect in the country of Suzaku. He was wearing a black robe and was very skinny, but his eyes lit up as he looked toward the immortal graveyard. He whispered, Things are changing. This old man was the early-stage ascendant ancestor that the entire Heavenly Jade sect respected, Chu Yunfei. The Earth Soul sect was in eastern side of Suzaku. There was a cave deep underground below the sect, and inside it sat a middle-aged man. At this moment, this man suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes gave off an ancient feel as he sighed. This day has finally come. I can believe I got caught up in this. The final sect in Suzaku was the Immortal Espas sect. However, there was no commotion here. The ascendant ancestor of the Immortal Espas sect was very mysterious. Very few people knew of his whereabouts or even what he looked like. Pilu, soul refining sect. Du Tian opened his eyes and sneered before closing them once more. This calamity on planet Suzaku had nothing to do with Wang Lin. He was only focused on facing the second arrival of the Heaven's Messenger so Li Muan could be reborn. There were 2 years left until Li Muan's awakening. In these 2 years, Zhou Ru spent most of her time in silence. It was as if there was already a huge barrier between her and Wang Lin. Wang Lin could feel Li Muan's nascent soul slowly awakening in her body, and Zhou Ru's life force slowly disappearing. When her life force completely disappears, Li Muan will have completely devoured Zhou Ru's soul. However, the speed at which Li Muan's nascent soul was growing had slowed down over the last year. It was as if it wasn't willing to grow, it wasn't willing to devour Zhou Ru's soul. Wang Lin knew that it was because Li Muan had recovered some of her consciousness. She wasn't willing to sacrifice a child to allow herself to reawaken. This was her choice, and it was not Wang Lin's decision to make. He used his spiritual energy to stop her, allowing her nascent soul to continue to grow inside Zhou Ru. Wan I know you aren't willing to devour this child. Believe in me, I'll do this properly and not harm her at all. Once you have awakened, we can send her back to her parents. What I want is your nascent soul, not this child's body. This was Wang Lin's promise to Li Muan. Leo goes to the hospital with his wife, then directly to pick up his daughter from school, continuing the storytelling upon return. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 407, Arrival of the Heaven's Messenger. Wang Lin lied to Li Muan. He couldn't think of a way to protect Li Muan and also make sure Zhou Ru's soul remained intact. If he were to pull out Zhou Ru's soul in advance, the death aura created at that moment would be very harmful to Li Muan's nascent soul. Even if her nascent soul could withstand it, it would be seriously injured and would most likely shatter soon after. This was still secondary though. The moment Zhou Ru's soul is removed, the Heaven's Messenger will descend. Without Zhou Ru's soul to mask Li Muan's nascent soul, Li Muan will be exposed before the heavens. At that moment, Li Muan's nascent soul won't be fully recovered, so the heaven's law will still affect her greatly. The original plan wasn't like this. Li Muan's nascent soul was supposed to fuse with the baby's flesh. Doing this would make it so that her soul would belong to the baby, allowing her to effectively dodge the heaven's law. But right now everything had changed. Aside from Li Muan devouring Zhou Ru's soul, nothing else could resolve this change. This answer was the dead end Wang Lin had reached after 4 years of struggling. There was no doubt in his heart when he thought about who was more important. He had already decided to sacrifice Zhou Ru to allow Li Muan to awaken. This choice was very cruel and was very painful for Wang Lin as well. However, Wang Lin was an old monster who had cultivated for 500 years. After 4 years of struggling, his heart was as hard as steel. Wang Lin looked at Zhou Ru, who was silently pondering on a rock in the distance, and thought to himself, Zhou Ru, I will not forget this kindness. I'll make sure your family lives in prosperity for 10 generations. They will rule over Chu. As if she had heard Wang Lin, her body trembled as she turned toward him. Tears appeared at the corners of her eyes, but there was a big smile on her face. These last 2 years slowly went by day by day. The day at which the Heaven's Messenger will arrive was getting closer. After arriving at the moon, Wang Lin had never gone back to Suzaku, so he naturally didn't know about the big changes that were taking place in the country of Suzaku. The current country of Suzaku could be said to be covered in the flames of war. The Forsaken Immortal clan had moved out with 4 9-leaf shamans, which were equal in power to ascendant cultivators, and began a back-and-forth war with the country of Suzaku. At the same time, one shocking piece of news after another echoed across planet Suzaku. Most of the news contained the word betrayal. Various figureheads of cultivation countries and ancestors of sects betrayed the country of Suzaku. Due to many of these betrayals at key points of battles, the country of Suzaku was forced to retreat many times. Now a rumor was spreading across planet Suzaku. Countless years ago, the Forsaken Immortal clan came up with a technique. By sacrificing a large number of clan members, they could turn a clan member into a cultivator. In these countless years, the Forsaken Immortal clan converted 9 different people. Because they didn't have the bodies of Forsaken Immortal clan members, they weren't restricted by the seal, so they went out and joined various sects. This was the strongest card the Forsaken Immortal clan had for this war. The moon was currently countless times quieter than planet Suzaku. There were only 3 more months until the fated day. Joru hadn't spoken for an entire year. The time she spent sleeping had increased greatly. Now she was sleeping for a majority of the day. Little White still stayed by her side. The sadness in his eyes deepened more each day. As for Little Violet, he didn't understand anything, so he just lied on the ground and looked at Joru and Little White in confusion. Wang Lin's divine sense was always locked onto Joru to keep an eye on Li Muan's nascent soul. He also kept his body at peak condition so he could deal with the Heaven's Messenger at any moment. The original body was doing the same deep in the molten core of the moon. He couldn't allow himself to lose this battle against the Heaven's Messenger. While Joru was sleeping, she would sometimes sleep talk. She would still say, "Uncle, I am scared." But these words became less and less frequent. Most of the time she was muttering something too jumbled to make out. Whenever she spoke like this, tears would come out of her eyes. The 19-year-old Joru had grown up. Although she wasn't an exquisite beauty, she had a sense of innocence and purity. Joru spent the whole final month sleeping. She didn't wake up even once this month. Li Muan's nascent soul had begun to devour her. Little White and Little Violet had been sealed away by Wang Lin to prevent them from messing with Li Muan's awakening. He was currently beside Joru. His heart felt pain as he looked at the little girl. "Uncle, who are you?" "Uncle, thank you for saving me." "Uncle, you promised to catch me a big tiger." "Uncle, I am scared. Can you take away the little person inside me?" His memories of Joru flashed across his mind. After a while, Wang Lin let out a long sigh. Time slowly passed by and the last month slowly came to its end. The final day had finally arrived. Wang Lin could feel Li Muan's nascent soul awaken. She was currently devouring Joru's soul. Gray clouds suddenly appeared in the sky above the moon. The moment they appeared, they began to gather. Inside the clouds, a pair of eyes appeared. Wang Lin was very familiar with this pair of eyes. The Heaven's Messenger from 19 years ago descended once more. That gaze swept past Wang Lin and landed on Joru. The pair of eyes glowed as a giant hand reached out toward her. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Without any hesitation, he jumped into the air and pointed at the giant hand. At this moment, the life and death scroll appeared in the sky. Wang Lin shouted, "Scram!" Thick strands of gray gas came out of the life and death scroll and gathered before Wang Lin. The giant hand from the Heaven's Messenger arrived and collided with the gray gas. Boom! An earth-shattering sound echoed across the area as the gray gas from the life and death scroll was pushed apart, and the giant hand bounced back. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. After sending out a message with his mind, the ground began to crack open. His original body charged out of the ground, went after the giant hand, and punched it hard. Boom! Another earth-shattering sound echoed across the area. The sky split open, and the earth shattered. The retreating hand was completely shattered by the original body's punch. Wang Lin's eyes were like lightning. He said, in a deep voice, "This time you still want to be able to take away Li Muan's soul." The pair of eyes in the clouds didn't change at all, but this time 2 hands suddenly came down from the sky. There was red lightning crackling and popping all over the 2 hands. Wang Lin's eyes became serious. This time the Heaven's Messenger seemed to be prepared. The 2 giant hands quickly arrived. One reached toward Wang Lin and the other toward his original body. The original body let out a roar and immediately grew into a giant more than 100 feet tall. The 3 purple stars on his forehead began to rapidly spin as it threw out a punch. Bang! A powerful shockwave quickly spread out in the air. The original body was knocked back with red light all over its body. It then smashed into a mountain, causing the entire mountain to turn to dust. That giant arm was bounced back once more, but this time it didn't shatter. As for Wang Lin, when the arm came, his hand formed a seal and pointed at the giant hand. The life and death scroll in the sky suddenly closed and moved before him to block for him. The giant hand grabbed the scroll. It paused for a moment and then was about to withdraw with the scroll. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot as he shouted, "Shake!" The life and death scroll shook and a large amount of gray gas came out of it. Sizzling sounds came from the hand along with white gas. In the end, the giant hand had to let go of the scroll and withdraw. The pair of eyes ruthlessly looked at Zhou Ru, who was currently behind Wang Lin. The pair of giant hands ripped apart the clouds, revealing a giant face. This face looked extremely normal, but the moment one saw it, they would feel respect for it. This face represented the might of the heavens. He coldly stared at Wang Lin and opened his mouth. A strand of gray light suddenly flew out of his mouth and formed a wheel. The moment this wheel appeared, the sky changed colors and the earth shook. Countless cracks began to spread with Wang Lin as the center, and in the blink of an eye, the land within 5,000 kilometers began to crack open. Countless spatial rifts appeared in the sky. These spatial rifts linked together, making it look as if the sky was going to fall. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy. With only a thought, his original body arrived and fused with him. The real Wang Lin appeared. The giant face didn't even look at Wang Lin. He moved his large hand toward the wheel and touched it. A mysterious sound came from the wheel, and then the entire area seemed to be surrounded by a powerful force. Wang Lin's expression changed. He was familiar with this power. It was the power of the reincarnation cycle. Just as his body was about to move, all of the surrounding reincarnation cycle power gathered and descended upon Wang Lin. At this moment, the power of the reincarnation cycle seemed to form a prison, and Wang Lin was trapped inside. He wasn't able to move his body even 1 inch. He couldn't even raise a single finger. After the giant hand finished messing with the wheel, it descended like lightning. Its target was Zhou Ru. Wang Lin wasn't able to move his body at all, but his heart screamed, "No!" He had worked hard for 19 years just for this moment, but now he could only watch as the giant hand was about to take Li Muan's nascent soul away. Leo steps out without his laptop charger. The computer has no power, so he reads the chapters using his phone, typing manually. Tears are flowing. Chapter 40 guessed. Another elder stared at the centipede and whispered, "Shh. The Xuan Dao sect is always like this, trying to bully my Heng Yue sect because we don't have a spirit beast. If there is a chance we must kill that spirit beast, then we'll see how they will show off." The sect head coldly snorted. A purple sword suddenly appeared before him. The sword flew into the sky and became a giant purple dragon. It coiled above the Heng Yu sect and roared at the centipede. The 1,000-foot centipede suddenly stopped and didn't dare to continue. Suddenly, a loud laugh could be heard from the top of the centipede. "Wang Long, it is rumored that this purple sword contains the soul of a dragon. It seems that that rumor is not fake. Friend, I am here now, and if we win again, the Heng Yue sect must keep their promise and return the 137 treasures that were stolen from us, as well as give us 200 flying swords as compensation." The sect head's expression remained normal. There was no trace of anger. He indifferently said, "Friend Ouyang, if the Xuan Dao sect wins this time, the Heng Yue sect will naturally do as promised, but if you guys lose, then you must hold back on your technique to control spirit beasts." While he was speaking, the purple dragon slowly dissipated and turned back into a purple sword. It returned to sect head Wang Long's hand. The 1,000-foot centipede started to move forward again. It circled above the Heng Yue sect as it slowly descended. The inner disciples all pulled back to make room. All of the elders had frowns on their faces from seeing the disciples recoiling. After the centipede landed, it remained motionless. Dozens of people jumped down from the centipede's back. Besides 3 elders, everyone else was very young. The Xuan Dao sect had both male and female disciples. It seemed like they were making fun of the Heng Yue sect because they knew that the Heng Yue sect didn't have many purple-clothed disciples, so every one of them was wearing purple. Another thing that surprised the Heng Yue sect disciples was that every single Xuan Dao sect disciple was good-looking. The males were very handsome, and the females were all very beautiful. Especially the male and female's disciple in the front. The male was extraordinarily handsome and full of masculinity. His long sleeves and hair fluttered in the wind, with a flying sword on his back that made him look even cooler. His appearance completely enchanted a few of the female inner disciples. The female disciple wore full purple with hair long like a waterfall, bright red lips, and with beautiful eyes could move anyone's heart. Even Wang Lin couldn't stop his heart from beating faster when he saw her. He became very surprised as he carefully looked at her and quickly became more cautious. Seeing all the disciples with memorized looks in their faces, one of the elders finally couldn't stand it anymore and shouted, "When did the Xuan Dao sect started practicing charm arts? It is simply too despicable." This shout quickly awakened many of the inner disciples. All of them had a surprised expressions. One of the 3 elders of the Xuan Dao sect laughed and said, "This must be Elder Dao Shu. My name is Qingulei. You should take a closer look. My 2 disciples here didn't practice any charm arts but were born with water spirit roots. I can see that among all of the Hangyu sect disciples, none of them are of such a pure spirit root. All of them are a mixture of all 5 elements. No wonder you can tell the difference." All of the Hangyu sect's elder's expressions became unsettled. After a long time, sect head Wang Long's expression remained the same as he changed the subject and said, "Friends of the Xuan Dao sect. First, rest at our sect. The competition will begin in 3 days." Elder Ouyang nodded. Smiling, he said, "Very good. Our Xuan Dao sect has had these competitions with the Hangyu sect for many years, but although there are some disputes, there is no need to hurt our relationship." Among the many elders of the Hangyu sect, a very old man walked out. His face was full of wrinkles, and he somewhat looked like he had no energy. He lightly chuckled and said to Ouyang, "Good friend Ouyang, it's been 20 years. Do you still remember me?" Elder Ouyang laughed out loud and said, "I've already seen you, old friend Song Dao Yu. This time, you must let me have some more of your homemade wine. I didn't have enough because you were too stingy last time. You only brought out 1 jar. Elder Song smiled. "It's not that I am stingy. It's that when you start drinking wine, it's too scary. No matter how many jars I bring out, it's not enough." As the 2 started talking, the other 2 elders of the Xuan Dao sect found familiar faces and started chatting as if the unfriendly words before were never said. As they talked about things that were happening in cultivation world of the country of Zhao, the eyes of the disciples of both sects were really open. Things like, the Wu Feng sect had a male disciple that seduced the Misty sect's head female disciple and made her pregnant. The Mist sect's head went to the Wu Feng sect for justice but came back with a baby. Or like the Heaven sect, where some disciples abandoned the sect and joined the He Huan sect. After some of them started to spread the benefits of joining the He Huan sect, more and more disciples abandoned the Heaven sect. This made the Heaven sect's head so mad that he sent out a kill order for any disciple that abandoned the sect. Or about some genius baby being born. And finally about the Misty sect's core formation expert's birthday being in a few months, so all the friendly sects would send people to attend and such. Wang Lin listened for a long time and started to have a very blurred impression of the cultivation world in the country of Zhao. At one point, he suddenly felt someone looking at him. He turned his head and saw that female disciple from the Xuan Dao sect looking at him, a faint smile on her face. Wang Lin nodded his head and secretly put up his guard. He didn't believe that he had the charm to attract someone's attention among all the disciples present. Liu Mei was the leader of the inner disciples at the Xuan Dao sect, and was very confident in her innate charm ability. Within the Xuan Dao sect, almost no one her age could resist. But that ordinary-looking youth was the first to recover, which surprised her. She couldn't help but take a few more looks, but no matter how she looked at Wang Lin, he was only at the R&D layer and was nothing out of the ordinary. As the elders talked, the disciples of the 2 sects also started to chat with each other to prepare for the competition that was to come. All of the Xuan Dao sect's disciples seemed to have a mysterious fog that hid their cultivation level. Wang Lin was also surprised that he became interested in the Xuan Dao sect. This technique seemed similar to the disguise pill, but on a higher level. The Hang Yue sect disciples seemed to focus all their attention on that male and female, all of them with their own ideas.